The antiseptic smell of the Veterans Affairs Hospital cuts through everything. Bleach and dying men. That's what this place smells like in the autumn of 2005. Major Jacob Morrison lies in bed 12, third floor, east wing, 80 years old, lung cancer eating him from the inside out. The morphine dulls the pain but sharpens the memories. Funny how that works. 60 years and he can't remember what he had for breakfast, but he can still smell cordite and burning flesh like it was yesterday. His grandson sits beside the bed. Marine Corporal Michael Morrison, 23 years old, fresh back from Fallujah. The kid's got that look, the 1,000-yard stare, the way his hands shake when he thinks nobody's watching. Jacob knows that look, wore it himself for 6 decades. Michael's voice comes quiet, almost ashamed. "Grandpa, they say you were the greatest tank commander in World War II, 118 confirmed kills. Is it true?" Jacob closes his eyes, the monitors beep steady. Oxygen hisses through the tubes in his nose. When he speaks, his voice sounds like gravel in a tin can. "Let me tell you what greatest really means, son. Let me tell you what it cost." The hospital room fades. The beeping becomes artillery fire. The fluorescent lights become North African sun. And Jacob Morrison is 29 years old again, terrified, about to die for the first time. Tunisia, February 14th, 1943, Valentine's Day. The Americans call it the Valentine's Day Massacre, though that name won't stick until later. Right now, it's just chaos. The smell of diesel and fear, the taste of dust and copper, the sound of German 88s tearing American armor apart like tin cans. Lieutenant Jacob Morrison crouches in the turret of his M4 Sherman tank. They've named her Iron Testament because that's what she is. A testament to American industrial might. 30 tons of welded steel and good intentions. The crew thinks the name means something, and Morrison knows better. Testament just means witness, and they're about to witness their first real battle. Staff Sergeant Roy McKenna sits in the bow gunner position, 42 years old, ancient for a tanker. Gray hair cut military short, weathered face that's seen too much. McKenna fought in the First World War. Belleau Wood, the Argonne, places where men died by the thousands for yards of mud. He's got that old soldier's calm, the kind that only comes from surviving the unsurvivable. Corporal Tommy Vasquez crouches beside the 75mm gun, 23 years old. Texas farm kid with steady hands and a gift for shooting. Grew up hunting jackrabbits in the scrub. Never missed. His grandfather fought at the Alamo, or so Tommy claims. True or not, the kid's got that Texan swagger, that absolute certainty that God and fate favor the bold. Private First Class Eddie Chen sits in the driver's seat, hands light on the controls. 20 years old. California mechanic's son. Chen can strip an engine blindfolded, rebuild a transmission with baling wire and prayer. Joined up 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor. Wanted to prove something. That's what they all want, Morrison thinks. To prove they're men. War will teach them what men really are. Private First Class Billy Hartman loads shells with the enthusiasm of youth. 19 years old. Boston Brahmin. Old money family. Could have sat out the war in some cushy stateside posting. Instead, he volunteered for armor. His mother cried. His father shook his hand with something like respect. Billy thinks war will make him worthy of that respect. Morrison looks at Billy's smooth face and thinks, this kid won't see 20. The radio crackles. 1st Armored Division Command Net. All Testament units advance to contact. Enemy armor reported at Kasserine Pass. Engage and destroy. Morrison's hands tremble on the turret controls. This is it. First real combat. 9 months of training condensed into this moment. The theory of armor warfare meeting the reality of German panzers. His mouth tastes like metal. Driver, advance, Morrison orders. His voice doesn't shake. Good. That's good. Can't let the crew see the fear. Chen shifts gears. The Sherman lurches forward. Suspension creaking. Tracks grinding sand and rock. They roll through the Tunisian desert in a long column. 48 tanks of the 1st Armored Division. America's best. America's only armor in theater. If they fail here, the whole North African campaign fails. The desert stretches endlessly. Dust devils dance between the scrub. Heat shimmers off the sand like water. Morrison scans the horizon through his periscope. Nothing. Just empty desert and mountains in the distance. The pass lies ahead, narrow valley between two ridges, perfect ambush terrain. Morrison's read the manual, knows what to look for. His instructors at Fort Knox drilled it into him. Never advance through a defile without reconnaissance. Never bunch up armor in close terrain. Never, never, never walk into an ambush. The column advances into the pass. The first shell arrives without warning. One moment there's just the rumble of diesel engines. The next moment, God himself reaches down and tears a Sherman apart. The tank 3 positions ahead of Morrison explodes. Not catches fire, explodes. The turret flies 50 feet into the air, tumbling end over end. The hull splits like a dropped melon. Men burn. Damn. Contact front! Someone screams over the radio. Useless information. Everyone can see the burning tank. Everyone can see the Germans now, appearing like ghosts from prepared positions on both ridges. Panzer burrows in anti-tank guns. Dug in, camouflaged, waiting. Another Sherman dies. Then another. The German gunners work with mechanical precision. Range, aim, fire. Each shot finds home. American tanks brew up along the valley floor. The tactical term is catastrophic kill. The human term is men screaming as they burn alive. Morrison freezes. His training evaporates like morning dew. All the lectures about fire and maneuver, about violence of action, about seizing the initiative. Gone. His mind goes blank. White noise and terror. He can hear his own heartbeat, feel his own pulse in his throat. The Sherman's engine idles. They're stopped. Sitting duck. Target. Lieutenant! McKenna's voice cuts through the shock. Lieutenant, give the goddamn order. Morrison stares at the burning tanks. He counts them. 7, no, 8, no, 9. Jesus Christ, 9 tanks gone in less than 2 minutes. 54 men, dead or dying. And he's next. They're all next. Sir, Chen's voice high with panic. Orders. On the ridgeline, a German Panzer IV pivots its gun toward Iron Testament. The barrel looks like a tunnel. Black hole that swallows men. Morrison knows he should do something, order evasive action. Return fire, something. But his brain won't work, won't send signals to his mouth. He's 29 years old and he's about to die and he can't even give the order to save himself. McKenna makes the decision for him. Chen, reverse, Vasquez, smoke, now. Eddie Chen doesn't wait for Morrison to confirm. Throws the Sherman into reverse. The tank lurches backward. Tommy Vasquez fires smoke rounds. White phosphorus blooms across the valley floor. Billy Hartman loads shells with shaking hands, tears streaming down his face. The Panzer's shell screams overhead. Close enough that Morrison feels the pressure wave. Close enough to smell the propellant. Close enough to understand with absolute clarity how close he just came to dying. Iron Testament backs out of the kill zone. Other Shermans do the same. The ones that can, the ones that aren't burning. The American attack becomes an American retreat becomes an American rout. Tanks flee the pass in whatever order they can manage. No formation, no fire discipline, just survival instinct and diesel smoke. 2 miles from the pass, the remnants of the 1st Armored Division regroup. Morrison counts tanks. 32 left, 16 lost. 16 burning metal coffins in that valley. 96 men, gone. First real battle and the Germans butchered them like sheep. Morrison sits on Iron Testament's deck, hands shaking, stomach churning. He wants to vomit, but nothing comes up. Just dry heaves and shame. His crew sits with him. Nobody speaks. What is there to say? Finally, McKenna breaks the silence. His voice is gentle, grandfatherly. Lieutenant, I need to talk to you. Private-like. They walk away from the tank. McKenna pulls out a cigarette, offers one to Morrison. Morrison doesn't smoke, but he takes it anyway. Needs something to do with his hands. The tobacco tastes like ash and defeat. McKenna lights both cigarettes, waits, finally speaks. You froze, sir. Morrison nods. Can't meet the old sergeant's eyes. Yeah. That tank. The one burning in the middle of the column. Lieutenant Harris's tank. His crew bailed out. All 5 of them. Alive, burning but alive, screaming for help. Morrison closes his eyes. He remembers. God help him. He remembers. Harris and his crew climbing out of their burning Sherman, uniforms on fire, skin melting, hands reaching toward Iron Testament, reaching toward salvation. And Morrison had ordered retreat. Left them there, left them to burn. We could have helped them, Morrison whispers. We were close enough. Yes, sir, we were. I left them. Yes, sir, you did. Morrison expects judgment, condemnation, court-martial. Instead, McKenna's voice stays gentle, understanding, almost kind. Listen to me, Lieutenant. I've been where you are. Below Wood, 1918. First battle, I ran, left my sergeant bleeding in a shell hole, ran like a rabbit, hid in a hole for 6 hours, wanted to eat my rifle. Know what my captain told me? Morrison shakes his head. He said, son, I've seen 1,000 men go into combat. Half of them freeze the first time. Quarter of them run. That don't make them cowards. That makes them human. The question isn't whether you freeze. The question is what you do next. What did you do next? McKenna's smile is sad, old, haunted by ghosts only he can see. I went back, found my sergeant, brought him home. Dead, but home. And I never ran again. 25 more years in this man's army. Never ran again. You hear me, Lieutenant? Never again. Morrison looks at the old soldier, sees the scars, the weight, the burden of surviving when better men died. And Morrison understands. This is the choice. Stay a coward or become something else. Something harder, something colder, something that can give the order to leave men burning if that's what survival requires. That night, Morrison lies in his bedroll under North African stars. Can't sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees Harris's crew burning, hears their screams. He thinks about writing a letter to Sarah, his fiancée back in Iowa. Thinks about telling her the truth, that he's not the hero she thinks he is, that he's a coward who froze while men died. Instead, he opens his father's journal. The old man carried it through France in 1918, died in the Argonne in September. Morrison was 12 years old when the telegram came. Never really knew his father, just had this journal. Blood-stained, water-damaged, a dead man's words. He flips to a random page. September 4th, 1918. His father's handwriting, cramped and hurried. Today I ran, first time under artillery fire, and I ran like a scared dog. Left my squad, hid in a shell crater. Sergeant found me, didn't court-martial me, didn't even yell, just said, son, you get one free one. Everybody gets one. After that, you decide who you want to be. Do you want to be the man who runs or the man who stands? I don't know yet. God help me, I don't know. Morrison flips forward a few pages. September 12th, 1918. We attacked today. I didn't run. Doesn't mean I wasn't scared. Means I did it anyway. That's the difference, I guess, between coward and soldier. Not the fear, the doing it anyway. Last entry, September 25th, 1918, day before his father died. I think I understand now. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and standing anyway. For your men, for your country, for the man you want to be. If I die tomorrow, at least I die knowing I stood. Morrison closes the journal, stares at the stars, makes a promise to a dead father and a burning memory. Never again, whatever it takes. However cold he has to become, he will never freeze again. The hospital room returns. Morphine haze, medical equipment. Michael watching with those Iraq-haunted eyes. That was my first battle, Morrison tells his grandson. I froze, I ran, I left men to die. That's how it started. That's who I was. Michael leans forward. What changed? Morrison's smile is bitter, knowing. I decided to stop being human. I decided to be a weapon instead. And boy, was I good at it. The memory shifts. Forward in time. Still Tunisia. March 1943. El Guitar. 1 month after Kasserine. 1 month of training. 1 month of Morrison studying tactics, reading manuals, learning the brutal mathematics of armor warfare. 1 month of becoming something other than the lieutenant who froze. Iron Testament sits in a defensive position. Hull down behind a sand berm, engine idling. Crew tense but ready. No more green kids. They're veterans now. 4 weeks of skirmishing. Small engagements. Learning the trade. Morrison's killed his first German tank. Panzer III at 800 meters. Clean kill through the turret. He'd expected to feel something. Triumph, guilt, anything. Instead, he felt nothing, just cold satisfaction. Target destroyed. Threat eliminated. Mathematics. The German attack comes at dawn. 20 Panzer IVs in a double wedge formation. Classic Wehrmacht tactics. Weight of fire, speed, violence of action. The Panzers roll across the desert, guns elevated, hunting for targets. Morrison watches through his periscope, counts tanks, calculates range, estimates closing speed. His mind works like a slide rule now. Cold, precise, mechanical, no fear, no hesitation. Just problems to solve and tools to solve them with. Contact front, Morrison calls over the radio. His voice is calm, flat. 20 enemy tanks, range 2,000 meters. All Testament units, hold fire. Wait for my command. The other Sherman commanders acknowledge. They trust Morrison now. After Kasserine, nobody trusted anybody. But Morrison's proven himself in the small skirmishes. He doesn't freeze anymore. He doesn't run. He kills with mechanical efficiency and brings his men home alive. That's worth more than any medal. The Panzers close. 1,500 meters. 1,200. 1,000. Morrison lets them come. Knows the Sherman's 75mm gun needs close range to penetrate Panzer IV armor. The Germans have longer guns, better armor, superior optics. Americans have numbers. Have to use them right. Eddie Chen shifts in the driver's seat. Nervous energy. The kid's good. Best driver in the battalion. Handles the Sherman like a race car. Smooth, responsive. Reads terrain like a book. Tommy Vasquez breathes steady beside the gun. Texas calm. The kid could shoot the wings off a fly. Never misses, never rushes. Waits for the perfect shot like he's hunting deer back home. Billy Hartman stands ready to load. The Boston kid's different now. Harder. Lost that upper-class softness. Saw too many friends die. Saw what German shells do to Sherman crews. Knows he's living on borrowed time. They all are. McKenna sits quiet in the bow gunner position. Old soldier. Patient. Waiting for Morrison's order. Trust the lieutenant now. Saw Morrison change after Kasserine. Saw him become something cold and efficient. McKenna knows what that transformation costs. Knows Morrison's paying the price, one frozen piece of his soul at a time. 800 meters. The Panzers think they're winning. Think the Americans will break and run like at Kasserine. Morrison can almost see the German tank commanders getting cocky, anticipating easy kills. Poor bastards. Eddie, Morrison says quietly, how fast can you spin this girl? Chen grins. The kid loves when Morrison asks that question. Fast as you need, sir. How's our turret traverse speed? 12 seconds for a full 360, fastest in the battalion. Morrison does the math. Sherman advantage, hydraulic turret traverse. Germans use manual systems. Slower, much slower. American Shermans can aim faster than German Panzers can rotate. If you use that advantage right, you can compensate for inferior armor and guns. Speed over protection, maneuverability over firepower. Fight smarter, not harder. 700 meters, close enough. Morrison keys the radio, all Testament tanks. All units execute circle of death on my mark. Lead tank targets Panzer at 12 o'clock. Second tank targets 3 o'clock. Third tank targets 6 o'clock. Fourth tank targets 9 o'clock. Fifth tank remains stationary. Targets of opportunity. Engage at 500 meters. Mark. The Shermans roar forward. Not in a line, in a circle. Eddie Chen throws Iron Testament into a hard right turn, engine screaming, tracks chewing sand. The other tanks do the same. 5 Shermans orbiting like planets around the German formation. Turrets tracking, gunners acquiring targets. The Germans hesitate. They've never seen this tactic. Americans don't do this. Americans are supposed to sit still and get slaughtered. What the hell is happening? That hesitation cost them. 500 meters, close enough for Sherman guns to matter. Far enough to make German gunnery difficult on moving targets. Sweet spot. Fire, Morrison orders. 5 75mm guns bark as one. 5 armor-piercing shells cross 500 meters in less than 2 seconds. 3 hit. 3 Panzer IVs stagger, smoke, burn. 2 misses. Acceptable ratio. Keep moving, Morrison shouts. Gunners, acquire next target. The Shermans keep orbiting. Never stop moving. Turrets traverse to track new targets. Billy Hartman loads shells with mechanical precision. Brass casings clatter on the turret floor. Tommy Vasquez aims, fires, aims, fires. No wasted motion, no panic. Just smooth, efficient killing. The German formation breaks. can't track multiple moving targets, can't coordinate fire. Their superior guns useless if they can't hit anything. Panzers try to pivot, try to engage, but the Shermans keep circling, shooting, moving, shooting again. Morrison's mind processes information like a calculating machine. Target priorities, ammunition expenditure, crew fatigue, fuel consumption. Every variable balanced, every decision optimized. No emotion, no fear, no hesitation, just cold tactical clarity. 8 minutes, that's how long the fight lasts. 8 minutes of continuous maneuver and fire. When the smoke clears, 9 Panzer IVs burn on the desert floor. The rest retreat, broken and scattered. American losses, 0. Morrison stands in the turret, surveying the destruction. Should feel something? Pride, relief, satisfaction. Instead, he feels nothing, just empty, cold, like something essential leaked out of him at Kasserine and never came back. Colonel Kane arrives an hour later, battalion commander, West Point, career officer. Looks at the burning panzers, looks at Morrison's untouched tanks, and his face shows something between respect and fear. What the hell did you just do, Morrison? Exploited our advantages, sir. Superior turret traverse speed, maneuverability, coordinated fire patterns, basic geometry. That's not in the manual. No, sir, it's not. Kane studies Morrison like he's looking at something alien, something inhuman. Write it up, tactical paper. I want every tank commander in 1st Armored reading this by next week. Yes, sir. Kane starts to leave, stops, turns back. Morrison, you scared the hell out of those Germans. You know that? They thought they had us. Then you pulled that circular firing pattern and they didn't know what hit them. That was brilliant. Thank you, sir. That wasn't a compliment. Brilliant tactics scare me. Men who invent brilliant tactics scare me more. You're becoming something, Morrison. I'm just not sure what. After Kane leaves, McKenna approaches. The old sergeant's face shows concern. Worry. The kind you show for a son who's gone down a dark path. That was good work today, Lieutenant. Thank you, Pops. You feel anything? Morrison considers lying. Decides against it. McKenna would know. No, nothing. I look at those burning tanks and I don't see men dying. I see problems solved. Targets eliminated. Is that wrong? McKenna sighs, lights a cigarette, offers one to Morrison. This time Morrison takes it, smokes it. Taste of ash and emptiness. I don't know, son. I fought in the last war. Killed my share of Germans. Always felt something. Guilt. Sorrow. Something. You're different. You've turned it off somehow. Made yourself into a machine. Is that bad? I don't know. Maybe it's what we need. Machine that kills efficiently and brings boys home alive. Or maybe it's what destroys you in the end. Time will tell, I guess. That night, Morrison writes his first tactical paper. Doctrine note number 1, exploiting mobility advantages in Sherman tanks, or how to kill panzers without dying. He writes clinically. Diagrams, mathematics, range calculations, turret traverse speeds, optimal engagement distances, circular fire patterns. It reads like an engineering manual. Cold, precise, efficient. Nowhere in the paper does Morrison mention the smell of burning diesel and cooked meat. Nowhere does he mention the German crews who died screaming in those panzers. Just numbers, tactics, mathematics of death. He signs the paper, passes it to Kane. Within a week, every tank commander in 1st Armored Division has a copy. Within a month, Morrison's circular firing pattern becomes standard doctrine. They start calling it the Morrison Doctrine, like it's something to be proud of. Morrison writes Sarah that night, tries to explain what he's becoming. The words come hard. How do you tell the girl you love that you're turning into something cold and mechanical? That you're trading your humanity for tactical efficiency? That you're becoming a killer because killers survive and nice boys burn in tanks? He starts 5 different letters, tears them all up, finally writes something safe, sanitized. Dear Sarah, we won a battle today. I'm fine. The crew is fine. I love you. I'll write more when I can. What he doesn't write, I'm becoming a monster. I'm learning to kill without feeling. I'm trading my soul for survival. And the terrifying part, I'm good at it. Really good. The hospital. Michael's voice quiet and understanding. You became what you needed to become. Morrison shakes his head. Slow. Painful. I became what the war needed. Not what I needed. Big difference, son. Sicily, July 1943, 4 months after El Guitar. 4 months of skirmishes and small victories. Morrison's promoted to captain now. Company command, 15 Sherman tanks, 80 men, his responsibility, his burden. The Sicily invasion goes well at first. Americans land on beaches, secure port facilities, push inland against light resistance. The Italian army doesn't want to fight, German army does. That's when things get complicated. Morrison's company spearheads toward Palermo. Fast advance, leapfrog tactics, seize terrain, hold, advance again. The Shermans roll through Sicilian countryside like they're on maneuvers. Almost easy, too easy. Billy Hartman sits in the loader's position, prosthetic leg braced against the turret basket. Kid came back after El Guitar. Doctors wanted to send him stateside. Billy refused, fitted for prosthetic, requalified on his position. Came back to the crew. Morrison tried to talk him out of it. Billy wouldn't hear it. This is my family, Captain. You, Pops, Tommy, Eddie, my family. Where else would I go? Now Billy loads shells with the same efficiency as before, maybe faster. Like he's got something to prove. Like staying alive isn't enough, has to be useful, has to earn his place. Morrison understands that need, understands needing to prove you're more than your broken parts. The German Tiger appears without warning. One moment they're rolling through a grove of olive trees. Next moment, God's own hammer smashes into the Sherman 3 tanks ahead of Morrison. The tank doesn't brew up, it disintegrates. 30 tons of steel torn apart like cardboard. The turret flies 100 feet. The hull splits. Fire blooms. 5 men gone in an instant. Contact front! Someone screams over the radio. Tiger! Tiger! Morrison sees it through his periscope. Massive. Squat. Brutal. Tiger and heavy tank. 56 tons of German engineering. 88 millimeter gun that can punch through a Sherman from 2 kilometers away. Frontal armor so thick American 75 millimeter guns might as well be throwing snowballs. Another Sherman dies. Then another. The Tiger's gun barks steady as a metronome. Every shot a kill. German crew working with mechanical precision. Load. Aim. Fire. American tank explodes. Repeat. 7 Shermans dead in 4 minutes. 42 men gone. Morrison's brain races. Calculating. Planning. The Tiger's a fortress from the front. Have to flank it. Circle of death won't work. Tiger's gun rotates too fast. Armor's too thick. Need a different approach. Need to get behind it, shoot the thinner rear armor. Engine compartment, anywhere but the front. All units, break formation, Morrison orders. Flank left and right, get around it. The Shermans scatter. Some go left, some go right. Trying to get angle shots. The Tiger pivots, tracks them. Gun swings smooth as silk. Fires. Another Sherman dies. The German crew isn't panicking, isn't rushing. Just methodically killing everything they can see. Morrison pushes Iron Testament hard right. Eddie Chen drives like a demon. Turret traverses left, compensating for the movement. Tommy Vasquez tracks the Tiger. Waiting for a shot, any shot. The Tiger's gun swings toward them. Black hole that swallows men. Morrison sees it coming. Time dilates, slows. He can see the German commander in the Tiger's cupola. Can almost see his face through the vision slits. Young guy, maybe 30, doing his job. Killing Americans because that's what young German tank commanders do. Brace, Morrison shouts. The 88 millimeter shell hits Iron Testament's turret. Not a penetration, a glancing blow. But at that velocity, glancing blows still matter. The impact sounds like God punching steel. The whole tank shudders. Morrison's head bounces off the periscope. Stars. Blood ringing in his ears. Second hit. Lower hull. This one penetrates. Punches through the Sherman's belly armor like it's not even there. The shell doesn't explode. Just ricochets around inside the tank at supersonic speed. Supersonic metal inside a steel box. Physics becomes butchery. Billy Hartman screams. Not words, just sound. Pure agony. Morrison blinks blood out of his eyes. Sees Billy pinned against the turret basket. The Sherman's gun breech recoiled from the impact. 75 millimeter gun weighs half a ton. It crushed Billy's legs. Both of them. Above the knee. The prosthetic in the real one. Blood everywhere. Billy's face white as paper, eyes wide, screaming. "Bail out," Morrison orders. "Everybody out." Eddie Chen throws this driver's hatch open. Gone in seconds. Tommy Vasquez follows. McKenna hauls himself out of the bow gunner position. Old man's hip is broken. Morrison can see it in how he moves. But McKenna doesn't slow down. Survival instinct overrides pain. Morrison grabs Billy. Kid still screaming. Legs mangled beyond recognition. Morrison knows field medicine. Knows Billy needs a tourniquet. Needs morphine. Needs a surgeon. But first he needs to get out of this burning tank before the German Tiger puts another round through them. "I got you, kid, I got you." Morrison hauls Billy up. Dead weight. The kid's in shock. Not helping. Just screaming. Morrison gets his arms under Billy's shoulders. Lifts. The pain must be unimaginable, but Morrison can't stop. Can't slow down. The Tiger's reloading. 10 seconds maybe. Then another shell. Then they're dead. He shoves Billy through the turret hatch. Billy falls. Lands hard on the Sherman's deck. Still screaming, Morrison follows, grabs Billy, jumps off the tank. They hit the ground hard. Morrison's ankle twists. Doesn't matter. Pain is just information. Information says run. He drags Billy into cover. Olive Grove 20 meters away. Eddie and Tommy appear, grab Billy's other side. Together they haul the kid into the trees. McKenna limps behind them, old soldier's face set in grim determination. No time for pain, just survival. The Tiger's gun barks. Third shell into Iron Testament. This one hits the ammunition storage. 30 rounds of 75mm shells cook off all at once. The explosion lifts Iron Testament off the ground. Turret spirals into the sky. Hull splits. Fire blooms. Morrison's tank, his home for 5 months, gone. They huddle in the olive grove. Billy's screaming tapers into whimpering. Shock setting in. Morrison applies tourniquets, both legs, above the crush injuries, cinches them tight. Billy passes out, maybe blessing, maybe death. Hard to tell sometimes. "We need a medic," Tommy says, stating the obvious, voice shaking. Kid's seen death before, but this is different. This is Billy. This is family dying. "Fall back to the rally point," Morrison orders. "I'll carry Billy." "Pops, can you walk?" McKenna nods, jaw clenched. "Hips broke, but I can move. Won't be fast." "Fast enough. Let's go." They retreat through the olive grove. Morrison carries Billy in a fireman's carry. 220 pounds of unconscious kid. Morrison's ankle screams. Doesn't matter. Billy needs a surgeon, needs blood, needs miracles. Morrison can't provide any of those. Just transport. Just get Billy to someone who can help. Behind them, the Tiger keeps killing. Morrison counts the shots. 12, 13, 14. Every shot probably a dead Sherman. Dead crew, his company being slaughtered while he runs. Again, like Kasserine, always running while men die. They reach the American lines. Medics take Billy, load him on a stretcher. Morphine, bandages, rough field medicine. The senior medic looks at Morrison with sad eyes, eyes that have seen too much death, knows what crushed legs mean, knows Billy's fighting odds worse than any German Tiger. "We'll do what we can, Captain." Translation: the kid's probably going to die or lose both legs. Best case scenario, he's crippled for life. Worst case, he bleeds out in the next hour. Morrison nods. Can't speak. If he speaks, he'll scream or cry or both. That night, Morrison sits in a replacement tank, not Iron Testament, just a nameless Sherman, anonymous, temporary. Everything feels temporary now. The crew's scattered. Billy's in surgery. McKenna's at the aid station getting his hip set. Tommy and Eddie are with Morrison, but they're quiet, traumatized. The invisible wounds that don't bleed but kill just as sure. Intelligence reports come in. The Tiger that killed Morrison's company, commanded by Hartman Franz Weber. Legendary German ace, Knight's Cross recipient, 38 confirmed kills before today. 45 after, Iron Testament's crew contributed to Weber's legend. Their blood bought his fame. Morrison studies Weber's file. 32 years old, career soldier, wife and 2 daughters in Bavaria, fought in Poland, France, Russia. Everywhere Germany's gone, Weber's gone, racking up kills, building a reputation. The perfect Nazi tank commander. Everything Morrison's trying to become. Everything Morrison fears becoming. He writes in his notebook, Doctrine Note number 4, hunting tigers. The predator becomes prey. But the words won't come. His tactical mind, usually so sharp, so clear, fails him. Because tactics didn't save Billy, didn't save Iron Testament, didn't stop Weber. All Morrison's brilliant doctrine, all his cold efficiency, useless against a tiger's frontal armor and an expert crew. He thinks about writing Sarah. Can't. What would he say? I failed again, lost my tank, lost my friend, became a machine and the machine broke anyway. Not exactly encouraging. Instead, he writes one sentence. Sometimes the mathematics don't balance. Then he closes the notebook and stares at nothing, feeling nothing. The machine Morrison turned himself into has finally encountered a problem it can't solve. A tiger named Weber, a friend named Billy dying in a field hospital, an equation with no answer. The hospital room, Morrison's voice hoarse now, tired, dying man's exhaustion. That was Sicily. That was when I learned that being a machine wasn't enough. That cold efficiency has limits. That some enemies can't be beaten with tactics alone. Michael leans forward. Did Billy survive? Morrison's smile is sad, haunted. He came back, lost one leg below the knee, kept the other, prosthetic and determination. Kid refused to go home, stayed with the crew. Can you believe that? Crippled 19-year-old refusing stateside duty because he didn't want to leave his family. His tank family. That's loyalty. That's love, son. That's what war does. Makes you love the men beside you more than life itself, more than safety, more than sanity. Billy loved us more than he loved his own body. How do you live with that? How do you command men who love you that much? Who'll die for you? Who'll stay crippled for you? Michael's quiet, understanding. Iraq taught him the same lesson. The men beside you become more than friends, become brothers, become the only thing that matters. And when they die or break or bleed, pieces of you die with them. Morrison continues, I made a promise that day, looking at Billy's crushed legs. I promised I'd kill Franz Weber. I'd hunt him down like the animal he was. I'd learn how to kill tigers. I'd write the doctrine that would destroy every German tank I could find. And I'd do it cold, efficient, without mercy. Because mercy gets your friends killed. Compassion gets your brothers crippled. Love makes you weak. So I'd cut it all out. Become pure weapon, pure killer. No humanity left to break. Did you keep that promise? Morrison's eyes close. The monitors beep steady. The oxygen hisses. When he speaks again, his voice comes from very far away. From 60 years in the past. From a place where young men learn to become killers and call it patriotism. Oh yes, Michael. I kept that promise. I became everything I swore I'd be. The weapon, the killer, the machine. I wrote the doctrine that killed thousands. I hunted tigers. I racked up kills like they were scores in a game. And eventually, yes, I met Franz Weber again. What happened? Morrison opens his eyes, looks at his grandson, sees himself 60 years ago. Young, eager, ready to become whatever the war demands. Ready to pay whatever price victory requires. And Morrison knows he should warn him, should tell him the truth, should say, don't become what I became. Don't trade your humanity for efficiency. Don't make the promises I made. Don't pay the prices I paid. But he doesn't, because some lessons can only be learned through living them. Some prices can only be understood after they're paid. Some promises only reveal their true cost decades later, in a hospital bed, surrounded by ghosts and regrets. Instead, Morrison just says, that's a story for another day, son. I'm tired. These memories, they take it out of me. Like bleeding, like dying slow. Come back tomorrow. I'll tell you about Italy, about Normandy, about the Bulge, about all the men I killed and the friends I lost and the price of becoming the greatest tank commander in American history. Michael nods, stands, kisses his grandfather's forehead. I'll be back tomorrow, Grandpa. Get some rest. Michael. Yeah? Morrison grabs his grandson's hand, holds it tight. Old man's grip, desperate, urgent. Whatever you saw in Iraq, whatever you did, whatever you had to become to survive, don't let it define you. Don't let war make you into something you can't unmake. You hear me? Don't become what I became. Michael's eyes show he understands. Show he's already too late. Show he's already crossed lines he can't uncross. Become things he can't unbecome. Done things that will haunt him for 60 years if he's lucky enough to live that long. I'll try, Grandpa. That's all any of us can do. Son, try. And fail. And live with the failure. And keep trying anyway. Michael leaves. Morrison lies alone in the hospital room. The monitors beep. The oxygen hisses. The morphine dulls the cancer but sharpens the memories. And Jacob Morrison, 80 years old, dying slow, sees them all. The burning tanks, the screaming men, the faces of Germans he killed and Americans he failed to save. The ghosts that have haunted him for 6 decades and will haunt him into whatever comes after. He closes his eyes, tries to sleep, but sleep brings dreams, and dreams bring memory, and memory brings North Africa and Sicily and all the battles yet to come. The battles that will transform Captain Jacob Morrison into Major Morrison, into the legend called Iron Jake, the greatest tank commander of World War II, the man with 118 confirmed kills, the weapon that won battles and lost his soul. But tonight, in the darkness behind his eyelids, he's not that legend yet. He's just a 29-year-old kid from Iowa who froze at Kasserine, who left men burning, who learned to be cold so he wouldn't break, who turned himself into a machine so he could function, who promised himself never again. Never freeze, never fail, never feel. And tomorrow he'll tell Michael about Italy, about how that promise took him further down the path, about how he became more weapon than man, about the doctrine he wrote that saved thousands and killed thousands, about the mathematics of war and the algebra of guilt. But tonight, just for tonight, in the privacy of morphine dreams and hospital darkness, Jacob Morrison lets himself feel, lets himself remember, lets himself be human for just a few hours more. Because tomorrow he'll put the armor back on. The emotional armor that's harder than any steel, that protected him through a war and failed to protect him from himself. Tomorrow he'll be Iron Jake again, the legend, the killer, the machine. But tonight, just tonight, he's just Jake Morrison, farmer's son, Sarah's husband, a young man who went to war and came back something else, something colder, something harder, something that could kill without feeling and command without breaking and survive without living. The morphine takes him under. The dreams come, North Africa, Sicily, the battles that forged him, the fires that tempered him, the blood that baptized him into a terrible brotherhood of killers who call themselves soldiers and heroes and patriots. And in the dreams, the burning Shermans scream, and Lieutenant Harris's crew reaches toward him with melting hands. And Billy Hartman's legs were crushed again and again in an endless loop of suffering. And Jacob Morrison becomes the weapon his country needs. The weapon that will win the war and lose the peace. The machine that will kill 118 enemy tanks and count each kill as a step further from humanity. The legend that will be celebrated and the man that will be broken. This is how it starts. This is the forging, the transformation of farm boy into tank commander, of human into weapon, of man into myth, and the cost of that transformation? Everything, absolutely everything. But Morrison doesn't know that yet, won't know it for decades, won't fully understand until he's 80 years old and dying and finally brave enough to count the true cost of victory. But that understanding comes later. Right now in 1943, Captain Jacob Morrison just knows one thing. He will never freeze again, never run again, never fail his men again. Whatever it takes, whatever it costs, whatever he has to become, he swears it to his dead father, to his burning friends, to himself, an oath, a covenant, written in blood and fire and the cold mathematics of survival. The Iron Covenant, bring each other home, no matter what, no matter the cost. And if bringing them home means becoming a monster, then monster it is. This is the forging. This is part 1. This is how heroes are made and men are broken, and war teaches its cruelest lesson, that survival and humanity are not compatible, that you can have either or the other but never both, that the price of greatness is the loss of goodness. Captain Jacob Morrison is learning that lesson, learning it in fire and blood and the screams of dying men, learning it one frozen moment, one tactical decision, one calculated kill at a time. And by the time he's done learning, He'll be the greatest tank commander America ever produced. He'll have 118 confirmed kills. He'll have medals and commendations in the respect of every soldier who served under him. But he'll have lost something too, something essential, something human, something he'll spend the rest of his life trying to find again. And failing, always failing. Because once you become a weapon, you can never quite become human again. Once you learn to kill without feeling, you can never quite learn to feel without remembering the killing. Once you cross that line, that terrible line between soldier and killer, between warrior and weapon, you can never quite cross back. This is the truth Jacob Morrison will carry for 6 decades. This is the weight that will finally crush him in a VA hospital bed at 80 years old. This is the price of being the greatest, of being the legend, of being Iron Jake. And it's a price he's only just beginning to pay. The morphine wears thin by morning. Pain creeps back in. Not just the cancer eating Morrison's lungs, the other pain, the old pain, the kind that's lived in his chest for 60 years, the kind no drug can touch. Michael returns at 9 o'clock, brings coffee. Hospital coffee tastes like dishwater, but Morrison drinks it anyway. Needs something to wash down the memories, something to dilute the taste of 60-year-old cordite and fresher regrets. You ready to hear more? Morrison asks. Michael nods, sets down his own coffee. The kid's hands shake slightly. Iraq tremors. Morrison recognizes them. His own hands shook for 20 years after the war. Still shake sometimes when thunder sounds like artillery, when cars backfire like tank guns, when his brain can't quite believe the war ended in 1945. Italy, Morrison says, September 1943 through January 1944. 4 months of mountain warfare. 4 months of learning that tanks aren't meant for mountains. 4 months of losing friends and making enemies and discovering that sometimes the enemy becomes the friend and the doctrine becomes the enemy. The hospital fades. Italy emerges. Mountains and mud and the grinding misery of the Italian campaign. Salerno, September 1943. The invasion goes badly from the start. Germans contest every beach, every road, every goddamn olive grove. The Italian campaign becomes a meat grinder. Slow, brutal, exhausting. Not the lightning war of North Africa, just attrition. Trading lives for miles, miles for lives. Mathematics written in blood. Morrison commands Charlie Company now. 15 Sherman tanks, down from 18. Lost 3 in the Salerno landings, replaced with fresh tanks and green crews. Always fresh tanks, always green crews. The replacements get younger every month. Kids who look like they should be in high school. Boys playing at war until war plays back. Billy Hartman returned 2 weeks ago. Prosthetic leg from knee to ankle. Steel and leather and determination. The doctors wanted him stateside. Soft posting, training command, anywhere but combat. Billy told them to go to hell. Politely, but firmly. He's staying with his crew, his family, the only people who understand what he's been through. Morrison tried to talk him out of it. Billy, you've done enough. You've earned rest. Billy's face hardened. 20 years old now. Ancient in war years. Captain, with respect, you don't get to decide when I've done enough. I'm the loader on Iron Testament. That's my job. That's who I am. You gonna take that from me? Morrison couldn't argue, understood too well. The need to be useful, the fear of being left behind, the terror of becoming irrelevant to the only family that matters. So Billy stayed, loads shells with a prosthetic leg and enough courage to shame healthy men. They've got a new tank. Another Sherman, not Iron Testament. That name died in Sicily. This one's called Redemption. Tommy Vasquez picked the name. Said they all needed redemption for something. Morrison didn't ask what, didn't want to know. Every man carries his own sins, his own ghosts. Better to let them lie. Tommy's different now. Quieter. The Texas swagger worn down by too many dead friends. The kid still shoots straight, still never misses. But there's something hollow behind his eyes, like he's already counted the days until his luck runs out. Already made peace with the fact that survival is temporary and death is patient. Eddie Chen drives with the same skill. Maybe better. The kids learned every trick, how to read terrain, how to feel weakness in the transmission before it fails, how to coax speed from an exhausted engine, how to keep a 30-ton steel box running on willpower and baling wire. But Eddie doesn't joke anymore, doesn't smile, just drives and maintains and waits for the shell with his name on it. Pops McKenna healed from his broken hip. Mostly. Walks with a limp now. Shouldn't be in a tank. Should be training recruits stateside. But like Billy, like all of them, McKenna can't leave, can't abandon his boys. So he sits in the bow gunner position, old bones protesting, old wounds aching, and he keeps his boys alive through sheer stubborn refusal to die before they do. The company pushes north from Salerno, heading toward Naples, then Cassino, then Rome. Always another objective, always another mountain. The Germans defend every ridge, every river, every ruined village. They're not running anymore. They're fighting, and they're very, very good at it. October brings rain. Cold mountain rain that turns roads to soup, tanks bog down, engines strain, crews huddle in their steel boxes and pray for warmth. Morrison's doctrine papers don't account for mud, don't factor in mountains, don't solve the problem of fighting uphill against prepared defenses with air support grounded by weather. War becomes simpler, more primitive, not about brilliant tactics, just about endurance. Who can suffer longer? Who can keep fighting through exhaustion and cold and the grinding certainty that tomorrow brings more of the same? Morrison's kill count reaches 19. Slow accumulation. Panzer III here. Panzer IV there. No more circle of death maneuvers. Mountains don't allow for circling. Just straight-up slugfests. Whoever shoots first, shoots straight, survives. Morrison's crew shoots first. Shoots straight, they survive. But survival feels less like victory and more like postponement. Delay of the inevitable. They're all waiting for the day their luck runs out. The day the German gunner is faster, the day the 88 finds them, the day mathematics catches up and probability says no, not today, your turn is over. January 15th, 1944, road to Monte Cassino, the day everything changes. Charlie Company pushes up a narrow mountain road, steep valley to the left, sheer cliff to the right, no room to maneuver, no space to deploy, single file, one tank after another, vulnerable. Exposed. Morrison knows it's wrong, knows they should wait for infantry support, should scout the route, should not advance into obvious ambush terrain. But orders are orders. High command wants Cassino, wants it now, wants the tanks to punch through and seize the abbey. So the tanks punch through, into a kill zone that would make Kasserine look like a training exercise. The Tigers appear on the ridgeline, 3 of them, hold down behind prepared positions, perfect fields of fire, covering the entire valley. The lead Sherman explodes before Morrison even processes what's happening. 88mm shell through the turret. Catastrophic kill. 5 men gone. Contact front. Tigers. 3 Tigers. Morrison's brain shifts into tactical mode. Cold, analytical. No fear, no panic, just problems and solutions. But the solutions aren't good. Can't flank. No room. Can't retreat. Tanks behind them blocking the road. Can't advance. Tigers will kill them all. Can't stay. Sitting ducks. No good options. Just bad options and worse options and the kind of choices that get men killed no matter what you pick. All units, smoke in reverse, now! But the Germans anticipated that. The rear Tiger fires, not at the lead tanks. At the rear, blocks the road with burning wreckage. Trap sprung. Charlie Company caught like fish in a barrel. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to hide. Just die in order or die together. 2nd Sherman brews up. Then 3rd. Tommy Vasquez fires, hits the center Tiger's frontal armor. Shell bounces off like a stone off a castle wall. Might as well be throwing rocks. We can't hurt them, Tommy shouts, Texas drawl cracking with fear. The unflappable gunner finally understanding terror. Morrison's mind races. Tiger frontal and armor. 100mm. Sherman gun. 75mm. Maximum penetration at 500 meters. 60mm. Mathematics says impossible. Physics says no. Reality says you're about to die. 4th Sherman dies. 5th. The Tigers work methodically. No rush. No panic. Just professional execution. German crews who've done this 100 times. Who know American tanks can't hurt them. Who know this is target practice, not combat. Morrison sees the Sender Tiger's commander, standing in the cupola, observing, directing fire, professional soldier doing professional work, and something about the way he moves, the way he stands, the casual confidence of a man who owns the battlefield. Intelligence briefing flashes through Morrison's memory. Hartman, Franz Weber, last known position, Italy, 3 Tiger tanks, expert in ambush tactics, 45 confirmed kills, now 49, 48, 47 if you don't count the burning Shermans, more if you do. Weber's Tiger pivots, gun swings toward redemption, Morrison's tank, Morrison's crew, his family. Time dilates, slows. Morrison sees it all with crystal clarity. The Tiger's gun barrel, black circle of death, the German commander watching, waiting, the inevitability of mathematics. This is how it ends. This is how Morrison dies. On a mountain road in Italy, killed by the same man who crippled Billy, the same man Morrison swore to kill. Irony tastes like copper in fear. The Tiger fires, but not at redemption, at the tank beside them. Lieutenant Harris's tank. Different Harris, not the one who burned at Kasserine. New Harris, young Harris, 22-year-old kid from Ohio, 3 weeks in country, barely knows how to identify a Panzer IV, let alone fight a Tiger. Dead Harris now. The tank explodes. Morrison sees Harris try to bail out, sees him climb halfway through the hatch, sees the ammunition cook off in the turret blow, and Harris disappear in a fireball of his own ammunition. Tommy Vasquez screams, not words, just rage and fear and the accumulated stress of too many friends dying. He fires, again, pumping shells into the Tiger's frontal armor. Billy Hartman loads like a machine. Brass casings ring on the turret floor. An orchestra of futility. Every shell bouncing off. Every shot wasted. Rage achieving nothing except attracting attention. Weber's Tiger pivots back. Gun swings toward redemption. This time Morrison knows. This time there's no reprieve. No lucky miss. Just the mathematics of armor penetration and the cold reality that German 88s beat American 75s every single time. Brace, Morrison shouts. The shell hits the turret. Square hit. Direct penetration. The world explodes into noise and light and screaming metal. Morrison's brain registers impacts. Plural. Multiple hits. Shrapnel. Something hot punches through his shoulder. Something else tears his leg. Pain arrives later. First just shock, just damage assessment. Still alive, still conscious, still breathing. He blinks blood out of his eyes, looks around. Tommy Vasquez slumped over the gun. Blood everywhere. The shell entered through the turret side, caught Tommy in the chest, ripped him apart, dead before he hit the floor. No last words, no final moment. Just alive, then not. That's how it happens most times. No drama, no speeches, just existence ending like a switch flipping off. Billy Hartman stares at Tommy's body, face white, mouth open, 19-year-old kid watching his friend die. Again. How many friends has Billy watched die? How many bodies has he seen? How many ghosts does a 19-year-old carry? Tommy, Billy's voice breaks. Tommy, no. Morrison grabs Billy's shoulder, squeezes hard, brings the kid back. Billy, listen to me. Tommy's gone. We're not. We bail out or we die too, you hear me? You. Billy nods. Mechanical, automatic, brain shutting down to avoid processing trauma. Good. Trauma can wait. Survival can't. Eddie, Pops, bail out now! The crew abandons redemption. Eddie Chen first through the driver's hatch. Then Pops McKenna hauling himself out of the bow gunner position. Billy climbs through the loader's hatch. Morrison last. Tank commander's privilege and curse. Last one out. First one to die if they don't make it. They hit the ground running. Well, running is generous. Morrison's leg won't support weight properly. Shrapnel or broken bone or both. Doesn't matter, he hobbles. Limps, drags himself toward cover. Roadside ditch 30 meters away. Might as well be 30 miles. Behind them where Weber's Tiger fires again. Not at them, at redemption. Making sure. The Sherman explodes, ammunition and fuel combining into an inferno. Tommy Vasquez's funeral pyre. The kid who never missed, who kept his crew alive through pure shooting skill. Dead at 23 because physics and armor thickness matter more than talent. They reach the ditch, collapse into it, gasping, bleeding, alive. Charlie Company dies behind them. 15 tanks, 75 men. Reduced to burning wreckage in 8 minutes. The Tigers work through them systematically. No mercy, no quarter. Just professional execution of an ambushed force. Morrison watches through the weeds, counts kills. 14 Shermans burning, 70 men dead or dying. 1 Sherman escaped, Lieutenant Wilson's tank. Turned around somehow, back down the mountain. Got away, 5 men surviving out of 75. 93% casualties. In military terms, Charlie Company has ceased to exist. In human terms, Morrison's command is dead, his responsibility, his failure, his men burning while he hides in a ditch. Pops McKenna presses a bandage against Morrison's shoulder. Field dressing. Rough and ready. The old soldier's hands shake. First time Morrison's ever seen McKenna shake. First time the unflappable veteran shows fear. Captain, we need to move. Germans will send infantry to sweep for survivors. Morrison nods. Can't speak. If he speaks, he'll scream. Or cry. Or both. Tommy's dead. Charlie Company's dead. 84 men gone because Morrison led them into an ambush. Because high command wanted casino and didn't care about the cost. Because war is mathematics, and sometimes the math says everybody dies. They move, crawl really, through the ditch, away from the burning tanks, away from the Tigers, away from Franz Weber and his perfect ambush in the German efficiency that killed 84 Americans in 8 minutes. Billy Hartman sobs quietly as he crawls. 19-year-old kid crying for his friend, for Tommy Vasquez, who taught him how to load shells, how to stay calm under fire, how to be a tanker, how to survive. Tommy, who survived North Africa and Sicily and Italy, only to die on a mountain road because Franz Weber is very, very good at killing. Eddie Chen crawls mechanically, face blank, shut down, brain protecting itself by refusing to process. The driver who kept them alive through 100 battles, who coaxed speed from exhausted engines, who drove them through ambushes and minefields and every kind of hell. Broken now. Done. Morrison can see it in his eyes. Eddie's reached his limit. The point where survival stops feeling lucky and starts feeling cursed. They crawl for 2 hours, make maybe a mile, finally reach American lines. Infantry positions, foxholes and machine guns, and exhausted dog faces who stare at the 4 bloody tankers like ghosts returning from the dead. Which Morrison supposes they are. Ghosts, the only survivors of Charlie Company, living on borrowed time and survivor's guilt. The aid station patches them up. Morphine for Morrison's shoulder and leg, bandages for everybody's various wounds, hot coffee, food, the mechanical ministrations of combat medicine. Fix the body, ignore the mind, get them back in the fight. A colonel arrives, not Kane, someone new, intelligence officer, wants Morrison's report, wants tactical details, wants to know how Franz Weber killed an entire tank company in 8 minutes. Morrison gives him the report. Mechanical, detailed, ambush site, Tiger positions, fields of fire, the perfect hill zone, Weber's tactical genius, the mathematics of slaughter. He recites it like a training manual, cold, analytical, professional. Inside, he's screaming. Inside, he's seeing Tommy's body, smelling burning diesel and cooked flesh, hearing Billy cry, watching 84 men die for nothing. We need Weber, the colonel says. Need to interrogate him, learn his tactics. You understand, Captain? Morrison understands. Understands that Intel wants to turn Weber's genius against him, wants to study the predator to better hunt predators, wants Morrison's grief and rage and guilt to serve a tactical purpose, war consuming everything, even emotions, even trauma, grinding it all into useful intelligence. Yes, sir, I understand. Good, we've got reports Weber's unit is in this sector. If we can capture him, you'll get first crack at interrogation. Professional courtesy, tank commander to tank commander. Professional courtesy, like Weber's a colleague, not the man who killed Tommy, not the enemy, just another professional doing professional work. Morrison wants to rage, wants to tell the colonel to go to hell, wants to say that Tommy Vasquez isn't a tactical problem to solve. He's a 23-year-old kid from Texas whose mother will get a telegram saying died in service of his country and whose body is burning on a mountain road where his own army can't even recover it for proper burial. Instead, Morrison says, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." Because that's what you do. That's what soldiers do. You swallow the rage and the grief and the guilt. You turn it into something cold and professional and useful. You become the weapon the army needs. Even when it costs you pieces of your soul. Even when it turns your friends into tactical problems and your grief into intelligence opportunities. That night, Morrison sits in a replacement tent. Can't sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees Tommy. Sees the shell punching through the turret. Sees his gunner die. Sees 84 men burn. The faces blur together. Americans and Germans. Tommy and Harris and all the others. All the dead. All the ghosts Morrison carries. He thinks about writing Sarah. Can't. What would he say? Lost another friend. Lost my whole company. Failing at everything except surviving. Not exactly the letters of a hero. Not the words of a man worthy of being loved. He opens his notebook. The tactical journal where he writes doctrine. Pages and pages of brilliance. The Morrison Doctrine. Famous now. Circulating through Army armor schools. Teaching young tank commanders how to kill and survive. Blood knowledge. Lessons written in burning Shermans and dead crews. He starts a new entry. Doctrine Note 12, Tiger Ambush Tactics, or how Franz Weber killed 84 Americans and what we can learn from it. The words flow. Clinical, detailed, ambush site selection, fields of fire, use of terrain, the perfection of Weber's execution. Morrison analyzes his own defeat like a chess game, identifies mistakes, notes lessons, writes recommendations. The doctrine grows, spreads. Other tank commanders read it, learn from it, adapt. Use Morrison's analysis of his own failure to avoid similar failures. Lives saved, tanks preserved. All because Morrison can turn trauma into tactics, can transform grief into guidance, can weaponize his own pain. But there's a caught. Every doctrine note pulls Morrison further from humanity. Every tactical analysis turns feeling into thinking. Every lesson learned is a piece of soul traded for efficiency. Morrison's becoming the perfect tactical mind. Cold, analytical, brilliant, and hollow. So hollow. 3 weeks later, February 1944, the call comes through. Franz Weber captured at Anzio. Tiger tank immobilized by airstrike. Crew surrendered rather than die in a burning tank. Weber's in a POW camp 10 miles from Morrison's position. The colonel kept his word. Professional courtesy. Tank commander gets first crack at the enemy ace. Morrison rides to the POW camp in a jeep. Shoulder still healing, legs still painful. But he needs to do this. Needs to face the man who killed Tommy. The man who crippled Billy. The man who's haunted Morrison's nightmares for 6 months. The camp is barbed wire and guard towers and rows of tents. German prisoners everywhere. Thousands of them. The Italian campaign chewing up both sides with equal enthusiasm. Rommel's veterans. Kesserine's best. All trapped now, waiting out the war in mud and boredom and the slow erosion of hope. Weber's in a special tent. High-value prisoner. Intelligence gold mine. 2 guards outside. Morrison shows his orders. They let him in. Franz Weber sits on a cot, 32 years old, tall, lean, the casual athleticism of a man who's spent years climbing in and out of tanks. He looks up when Morrison enters. No fear, just professional interest, like a colleague meeting another colleague. Captain Morrison, Weber's English is excellent, slight accent, educated, officer class. I was told you would come. Morrison stops, stares. This is the man, the legend, the ace, Franz Weber. Knight's cross gleaming at his throat. 49 confirmed kills, maybe more by now. The predator who owned the Italian mountains. And he looks ordinary. Not a monster, not a demon, just a man. Tired, worn, haunted by the same ghost Morrison carries. The weight of command, the burden of survival, the cost of excellence in killing. Morrison sits on a folding chair. Facing Weber, predator facing predator. Killer assessing killer. 2 tank commanders who've mastered the same terrible mathematics. who've both learned that survival requires becoming something other than human. Silence stretches. Neither man speaks. Finally, Weber breaks it. His voice is quiet, respectful, almost sad. You are the Iron Testament, the tactician, the one who writes doctrine. You've read my papers. Of course, your circle of death. Brilliant. I taught my crews this tactic. We used it at Anzio, killed 40 American tanks. Weber pauses. I apologize for that. Your brilliance turned against your countrymen. War makes strange mathematics. Morrison feels something cold settle in his chest, his tactics, his genius, captured, studied, used by Germans to kill Americans. How many men died because Morrison wrote his doctrine? How many Shermans burned because he was too smart for his own good? The algebra of guilt, the calculus of unintended consequences. You killed my gunner, Morrison says. Flat, no emotion, just fact. January 15th, Mountain Road to Casino. Corporal Tommy Vasquez, 23 years old, Texas. Never missed a shot. You killed him. Weber nods. I killed 84 men that day. I remember them all. Every face I could see. Every tank that burned. I am sorry for your friend, for all of them, but not sorry I did my duty. This is the paradox of soldiers. Yes? Did you enjoy it? Enjoy? Weber considers. No, I felt nothing. That is worse, I think. To kill and feel nothing. To watch men burn and calculate only next target. To become machine. You understand this. I see it in your eyes. You are also machine now. Morrison wants to deny it. Can't. Because Weber's right. They're the same. American and German. Different uniforms. Same transformation. Both became weapons because weapons survive. Both killed without feeling because feeling breaks you. Both mastered the terrible art of staying human enough to function while becoming inhuman enough to kill. How many have you killed? Morrison asks. 49 confirmed tanks. Perhaps 250 men. I do not count men. Too difficult to know. Some bail out, some burn, some escape. I count only tanks. Simpler mathematics. Do you see their faces? Weber's control slips. Just for a moment. Morrison sees the crack. The human underneath the machine, the man who remembers, who carries ghosts, who pays the price of excellence in silence. Every night, Weber whispers, every single night, Americans, British, Russians, French, they all look the same when they burn, all scream the same, all die the same, and I see them, all of them. The cost of survival, the price of being very, very good at killing. Morrison nods, understanding. This is the covenant nobody talks about. The silent brotherhood of killers who were good men once, who became necessary monsters, who will never sleep peacefully again. They talk for hours, not interrogation, conversation. Two tank commanders comparing notes. Weber describes his tactics. Morrison shares his doctrine. They discuss armor thickness and gun penetration and optimal engagement ranges. The technical details of their trade, the mathematics of survival. But underneath the tactics, they're sharing something else. Confessions, admissions of guilt, recognition of cost. Two men who became weapons acknowledging the price of transformation. Weber shows Morrison a photograph. Two little girls, 8 and 5, blonde hair, summer dresses, laughing in a Munich garden. Anna and Sophie, my daughters. They believe Papa hunts rabbits in France. They do not know Papa hunts Americans. What will I tell them when I return? How do I explain I am very good at killing, that I am ace, that I am famous for destroying men? Morrison pulls out his own photograph. Sarah, pregnant now, 6 months along, hand on her belly, smiling at the camera. Morrison hasn't seen her in 18 months, hasn't held her, hasn't touched anything gentle or soft or human in so long, he's forgotten how. My wife, baby's due in April. A son, Thomas, named for Tommy Vasquez, the gunner you killed. How do I explain that to my son? That his namesake died because I led him into an ambush? That I'm famous for writing tactics that killed Germans and Americans both? That I've become the thing I swore I'd never be? Weber stares at the photograph, stares at Morrison, then laughs, bitter, broken. The sound of a man recognizing his own reflection in enemy's face. We are same, Jacob Morrison. We murder each other so little girls can laugh in gardens, so babies can be born, So something soft survives in a hard world. What kind of men does this make us? Morrison has no answer, sits in silence. Two predators, two killers, two fathers and husbands and sons who became weapons, recognizing each other, acknowledging each other, finding strange kinship and shared damnation. Finally, Weber speaks again. I will tell you truth, not for intelligence, for you, because you understand, because we are brothers in this terrible trade. What truth? I have done things in Russia, things I cannot speak, villages, civilians. Orders are orders, they said, just following orders. But orders do not absolve. Orders do not grant innocence. I participated in evil. I wore the uniform, and I did the work, and I cannot unmake those actions. Cannot unbecome that man. This is burden I carry. This is price of survival. Weber's eyes hold Morrison's, desperate, pleading, needing Morrison to understand, needing witness to confession. You must know this, must understand. Good men do evil things in war. Don't become me, Jacob Morrison. Don't follow orders into darkness. Don't let doctrine replace conscience. Don't trade humanity for efficiency. Morrison wants to say he won't, wants to promise he'll stay human. But he can't lie, not to Weber, not to the man who holds up a mirror and forces Morrison to see what he's becoming. It's too late, Morrison says quietly. I'm already there, already cold, already machine, already writing doctrine that kills thousands, already becoming the weapons America needs, just like you became the weapon Germany needed. We're both too late, Franz. Weber nods, sad, accepting. Then we are both damned. But perhaps we are damned together. Perhaps that is something. To know someone understands. Someone carries same weight, same ghosts, same price. They sit in silence. Two weapons, two men, two souls halfway to lost, finding strange comfort in mutual recognition, in shared burden, in the knowledge that somewhere in the world, someone understands the cost of becoming greatest, the price of excellence, the transformation that wins wars and destroys men. Morrison leaves the POW camp at sunset. Doesn't look back. Can't. If he looks back, he'll see himself, see his future, see what another year of war will make him, see the final evolution of weapon, the complete erasure of Jacob Morrison, farmer's son, Sarah's husband, Thomas's father, the apotheosis of Iron Jake, the legend, the killer, the hollow man. 3 days later, the telegram arrives. Sarah delivered a boy. April 2nd, 1944. Thomas Jacob Morrison, 8 pounds, 4 ounces, mother and child healthy. Morrison stares at the words, tries to feel something. Joy, pride, love, anything. But the machine he's become doesn't process those emotions anymore. Just registers information. Son born, wife survived, mission accomplished. Check the box, move to next task. He tries to write back, tries to find words a father should say. Congratulations, I love you. I can't wait to meet our son. The words look right on paper, but they feel hollow, empty, like he's reading lines from a script, playing the role of husband and father. But the actor died somewhere between Kasserine and Casino. Only the role remains. Pops McKenna finds him that night. Morrison sitting alone, staring at the telegram. The old sergeant sits beside him. Doesn't speak, just sits. Presence, understanding. The weight of a man who's seen too many soldiers lose themselves to war. Finally, Pops breaks the silence. Congratulations, Captain. You're a father. Yeah. You don't sound happy. Morrison laughs, bitter, hollow. I don't feel anything, Pops. My son is born and I feel nothing. What kind of father is that? What kind of man? Pops lights a cigarette, offers one to Morrison. They smoke in silence. 2 soldiers, 2 survivors, 2 men who've paid prices they're still counting. I had a son once, Pops says quietly. James, born 1920, between the wars. I came home from France different, broken, couldn't connect to my wife, couldn't bond with my boy. Spent 5 years trying to feel something, anything. Eventually I gave up, re-enlisted, left them, figured they were better off without the ghost I'd become. Morrison turns, studies the old soldier's face, sees new depths of pain there. new ghosts. What happened? James grew up without a father, joined up in 41, infantry. Kid wanted to understand what made his old man abandon him, wanted to see what war did to people, wanted to find his father in the fighting. Pops pauses, takes a long drag, exhales slow. He found it, died at Kasserine, 23 years old. My son died trying to understand me, and I wasn't even there. The words hit Morrison like shells. Understanding crashes over him. Pop's desperate need to keep his boys alive, his refusal to leave, his stubborn insistence on protecting them. Not just duty, penance, atonement for the son he couldn't save, the son he abandoned, the son who died looking for him. Jesus, Pops, I didn't know. Nobody does. Not their business. But it's your business now because you're walking my path, becoming what I became. And I'm telling you, son, don't abandon your boy. Don't let war take everything. Don't become the ghost I was. Thomas needs a father, not a legend, not a hero, just a father. You hear me? Morrison hears. But hearing and heeding are different things. Because war doesn't care about sons back home. War demands everything. Demands you become weapon. Demands you trade humanity for efficiency. Demands you sacrifice family for mission. Demand. And Morrison's learning to give war what it demands, because the alternative is freezing, failing, watching men burn. Better to be weapon than coward. Better to be legend than failure. Better to lose yourself than lose your men. He returns to his unit. New tank, new crew, replacements for the dead. Fresh faces, young faces, faces that will haunt him someday when they're dead. But for now, they're alive. They're his. They're his responsibility and his burden and his reason for becoming colder and harder and more efficient. Because that's the choice. Stay human and watch them die, or become weapon and bring them home. Mathematics. Cold. Simple. Brutal. Morrison chooses weapon. Has already chosen. Chose at Kasserine when he froze. Chose at El Guitar when he felt nothing. Chose in Sicily when he vowed revenge. Choosing again now. Every day choosing. Until choosing becomes reflex. Until weapon becomes identity. Until Jake Morrison disappears and only Iron Jake remains. The hospital returns. Morrison exhausted. Dying. Ancient. Michael's face showing he understands. That Iraq taught him the same lessons. Made him choose the same choices. Forced him down the same path. Did you see Weber again? Michael asks. Morrison shakes his head. He died in March. Pneumonia. POW camp. Poor conditions. His daughters never saw him again. Anna and Sophie. They grew up without a father, just like Thomas grew up without me. Different reasons. Same result. War takes fathers, one way or another. You came home. My body came home. Not sure about the rest. Took me 40 years to find pieces of Jake Morrison. Still missing some. Maybe always will be. That's the cost, Michael. That's what Weber tried to warn me about. That's what I'm trying to warn you. You can become the weapon, but you can't unbecome it. Can't put the pieces back together. Can't unknow what you learned. Can't unfeel the nothing you felt when you killed. Michael's quiet, processing, understanding. What happened next after Weber died? Morrison closes his eyes. The memories march forward, relentless. Normandy, the Bulge, Germany, all the battles still to come, all the men still to kill, all the pieces of soul still to lose. Normandy happened, D-Day, the hedgerows, the doctrine failing, Billy dying, Pops dying, everything I built, everything I became, put to the test and found wanting, because doctrine can't account for everything, tactics can't save everyone, and being weapon doesn't make you bulletproof, just makes you better at killing before you die. Tomorrow I'll tell you about Normandy, about the day my doctrine killed 84 more Americans, about Billy's death, about Pops, about the day I understood Weber's warning. Too late, always too late, but I understood. The memories don't wait for tomorrow. They come unbidden. England, April 1944. Morrison's battalion pulled from Italy, sent to prepare for the invasion, the big one, the one that will decide the war, Operation Overlord. Southern England becomes an armed camp. Tanks, troops, supplies, Millions of tons of war material accumulating on British soil, preparing for the cross-channel assault, the day that will change everything, or end everything, depending on whether the landing succeeds. Morrison's promoted to major, battalion command, 48 Sherman tanks, 240 men, his responsibility, his burden. The weight gets heavier with each rank, each promotion, each addition to the count of men depending on him to bring them home. The battalion receives new tanks, Sherman Fireflies, British modification, 17-pounder gun replacing the American 75. Finally a gun that can hurt Tigers, that can penetrate German heavy armor, that can make the fight something other than suicide. Morrison studies the Firefly, learns its capabilities, tests its limits. The gun is magnificent, long barrel, high velocity, armor-penetrating rounds that can punch through 130 millimeters of steel at 1,000 meters. This changes everything, changes tactics, changes doctrine, changes the mathematics of survival. He writes new tactical notes. Doctrine Note 15, Firefly deployment and tiger hunting tactics. Distributes it through the battalion, through the division, through the whole invasion force, teaching young tank commanders how to kill tigers, how to use the Firefly's power, how to survive what's coming. But even as he writes, Morrison feels Weber's ghost watching, judging. Every tactic Morrison invents will be studied by Germans, will be adapted, will be used against Americans. The doctrine cuts both ways, saves lives and costs lives, mathematics without morality, efficiency without ethics. The crews train day after day, gunnery practice, maneuver drills, coordination exercises, learning to fight as units, as companies, as battalions, the kind of mass armor warfare that will define Normandy, that will break the German army or break the invasion. No middle ground, just success or catastrophic failure. Billy Hartman trains with the new crews, teaching them to load fast, to stay calm, to trust their tank commander. The kid's 20 now, ancient by tanker standards, veteran of 3 campaigns, prosthetic leg and 1,000-yard stare. But he teaches with patience, with wisdom beyond his years, with the knowledge bought in blood and burning friends. Eddie Chen maintains the tanks, keeps them running, fixes problems before they become failures. The California kid's a sergeant now, combat veteran, survivor, mechanic savant who can make dead engines live and dying transmissions work. But he's quieter than ever, more withdrawn, like he's already counting the days until his luck runs out. Pops McKenna should be retired, should be training recruits stateside, should be anywhere except preparing for another invasion. But the old soldier won't leave, can't leave, not while his boys need him, not while he's got penance to pay for the son he lost. So he stays, 44 years old, broken hip, survivor's guilt, and absolute determination to bring his boys home. Morrison spends evenings writing letters to Sarah, to Thomas, even though his son can't read, writing words that feel hollow, expressing emotions he can no longer feel, playing the role of husband and father because that's what good men do, even when they're no longer quite men, even when they're weapons wearing human faces. Sarah writes back, long letters, detailed. Thomas smiled today. Thomas grabbed my finger. Thomas looks like you. Every letter a reminder of what Morrison's missing, of what he's trading for tactical excellence, of what the weapon costs the man. He tries to care, tries to feel something, but the machine he's become doesn't process family, just mission, just tactics, just the mathematics of bringing men home alive, even if bringing them home means losing yourself. May arrives, then June. The tension builds. Everyone knows it's coming. The invasion, the great cross-channel assault, the day that will end the war or destroy the armies trying. No one knows when, just soon, very soon. Morrison briefs his company commanders, goes over tactics, reviews doctrine, studies maps of French countryside, the bocage, hedgerow country, nightmare terrain for tanks, narrow lanes, high banks, thick vegetation, perfect ambush country, perfect killing ground. Morrison's seen it in aerial photos, knows what's coming, knows the doctrine he wrote for open desert and Italian mountains won't work in Norman hedgerows. But there's no time to rewrite everything. No time to develop new tactics. Just adapt, improvise, survive. That's all any of them can do. Learn on the bike. Pay the price of learning in blood and burning Shermans. Hope Morrison's doctrine is flexible enough. Hope his crews are good enough. Hope luck favors them. Hope is not a tactic. Morrison knows this. But sometimes hope is all you have. Michael stands, kisses his grandfather's forehead. Rest, Grandpa. I'll be back tomorrow. Morrison nods. But rest is impossible. Sleep brings dreams. Dreams bring memories. Memories bring Weber's face. Tommy's death. The burning tanks. The ghosts. Always the ghosts. He lies in the hospital bed, 80 years old, dying, carrying 60 years of ghosts, 60 years of guilt, 60 years of prices paid and costs calculated in the terrible mathematics of survival. And he thinks about Weber, about the German ace who tried to warn him, who showed him the future, who held up the mirror and said, "This is what you're becoming. Don't. Stop. Turn back while you still can." But Morrison didn't listen, couldn't listen, because the war demanded weapons, and Morrison became the weapon the war demanded. Became it so completely that Jake Morrison disappeared. Became Iron Jake, the legend, the killer, the greatest tank commander America ever produced. And the cost? Everything. Absolutely everything. But that understanding comes later. Right now, in 1944, Captain Jacob Morrison just knows one thing. He's at war with Franz Weber's ghost, at war with his own humanity, at war with the doctrine he created, at war with the weapon he's becoming. And he's losing all the wars that matter, winning the war with Germany, losing the war with himself. This is part 2. This is the doctrine. This is blood and iron and the price of brilliance. This is what happens when you become too good at killing. When you write tactics that save thousands and kill thousands. When you trade humanity for efficiency and call it patriotism. This is how weapons are made, how souls are lost, how good men become necessary monsters, and how monsters learn too late that being necessary doesn't make them less monstrous. Morrison learned it from Weber, learned it too late to stop, too late to turn back, too late to choose differently, but maybe not too late to warn Michael, not too late to tell the next generation. Not too late to say, don't become me. Don't become weapon. Stay human, even if it costs you, even if it hurts, even if survival requires sacrifice. Stay human. That's the lesson. That's the warning. That's what Morrison learned from Weber and couldn't follow. What he's trying to teach Michael before death claims him, before the cancer finishes what war started 60 years ago. Stay human. Don't become weapon. Don't write doctrine in blood. Don't trade soul for survival. But even as he thinks it, Morrison knows the truth. Knows Michael won't listen. Can't listen. Because war doesn't ask permission. War demands transformation. War requires weapons. And weapons don't get to choose. Weapons just kill until they break. Until they rust. Until they are retired to museums and hospital beds and the long, slow dying that follows surviving. This is the covenant. The Iron Covenant. Written in blood and fire and the terrible mathematics of necessary evil. Bring each other home, no matter the chem, even if the cost is everything you are. This is part 2, the doctrine, the blood and iron, the transformation nearly complete. Part the free weights, the last battles, the final kills, the ultimate prices, the end of Jake Morrison and the apotheosis of Iron Jake. But tonight in the hospital, Morrison is just an old man dying, remembering, warning, hoping his grandson hears what Weber tried to tell him 60 years ago. Don't become weapon. Stay human. The cost is worth it, even if Morrison himself couldn't pay it. The morphine isn't working anymore. Pain everywhere now, not just cancer. 60 years of accumulated wounds. Shrapnel still lodged in Morrison's shoulder. Broken bones that never healed right. The physical toll of war. But worse than that, the other pain, the kind that lives in memory, the kind that morphine can't touch. Michael arrives early, brings breakfast. Morrison can't eat, sits in the chair beside the hospital bed, waits, patient, understanding. The kid knows this is the hard part, the ending, the price is paid, the final accounting of costs. Morrison's voice comes rough, weak, dying man's whisper. Normandy, June 28, 1944. 22 days after D-Day. That's when I learned the truth about doctrine, about tactics, about what happens when you become too good at killing and not good enough at being human. The hospital dissolves. Normandy emerges. Hedgerows and mud and the grinding brutality of the Bulge. Morrison's battalion landed on D-Day +7, came ashore at Omaha Beach. The killing had moved inland by then. The beach mostly secure, just scattered mines and wrecked equipment and the smell of death baking in June sun. The smell never leaves. Salt and cordite and rotting flesh. That's what victory smells like. They pushed inland through country that made Italian mountains look easy. The bocage, ancient hedgerow country, centuries-old earthen banks topped with thorny vegetation, creating natural walls, natural trenches, natural fortresses, every field a separate battle, every lane a potential ambush, nightmare terrain for armor. The Germans knew it, used it, turned Normandy into a killing ground, dug in their Tigers and Panthers in 88s, waited for American tanks to come blundering through narrow lanes, then killed them, methodically, efficiently, the same way Weber killed Charlie Company in Italy, the same tactics Morrison wrote about in his doctrine notes, coming back around, karma in steel and fire. When Morrison's battalion lost 11 tanks in the first week, 66 men, not spectacular losses by Normandy standards, just steady attrition. The grinding mathematics of hedgerow warfare. Americans had numbers, Germans had positions. Americans traded tanks for yards. Germans traded yards for time. Everybody paid in blood. Billy Hartman still loading shells, still refusing to quit. 20 years old now. Prosthetic leg and stubborn pride. Kid's hands shake sometimes. Post-traumatic tremors. But he loads smooth, fast, muscle memory overriding fear. Survival instinct stronger than common sense. Eddie Chen drives like always, steady, reliable. But the California kid's quieter than ever, almost silent, like he's already said everything worth saying, already made peace with whatever's coming, just waiting for the mathematics to catch up, for probability to say your turn, for the shell with his name on it. Pops McKenna mans the bow gun, 44 years old, too old for this, way too old, but refusing to leave, refusing to abandon his boys. Old soldier clinging to redemption, trying to save other men's sons since he couldn't save his own. Penance written in every mission, every patrol, every day he keeps breathing when his boy James is dead. Morrison commands from the turret, Major now, battalion command, 48 tanks at landing, 37 now, mathematics trending wrong direction, losses exceeding replacements, experienced crews dying, green kids taking their places, the battalion weakening, grinding down, like everything else in Normandy, just slower death, stretched across weeks instead of minutes. June 28th, the order comes down, attack toward Cannes, British want the city, Americans supposed to support. Morrison's battalion assigned to seize crossroads near village called Villers-Bocage. Different Villers-Bocage than the famous British disaster. Just another Norman village with stone buildings and hedgerows and perfect ambush terrain. Morrison studies the maps, doesn't like what he sees. Single road approach, hedgerows on both sides, no room to maneuver, no space for his circle of death tactics. Just straight up advance into whatever the Germans have waiting. Bad ground, bad mission, bad odds. But orders are orders. High command wants Cannes, wants it now, wants the breakout, wants to end the Bocage stalemate, wants. War demanding everything, demanding impossible, demanding men advance into obvious kill zones because strategic objectives matter more than tactical reality. Morrison briefs his company commanders, reviews the plan, goes over doctrine, knowing even as he speaks that doctrine won't save them, can't save them. Because doctrine assumes a room to maneuver, assumes options, assumes something other than suicide advanced through a funnel. Sir, this is bad ground. Captain Williams, Alpha Company Commander, 25 years old, West Point, brilliant tactician, smart enough to recognize disaster when he sees it. We'll be in single file, no way to deploy. If they hit us, we can't flank, can't circle, can't do anything except die in order. Morrison knows Williams is right, knows it in his bones, in his tactical brain, in every lesson learned from North Africa to Sicily to Italy. This is Kasserine, This is the mountain road to casino. This is every ambush ever sprung on overconfident armor, and they're walking into it anyway. I know, Morrison says, quiet, tired. But we have our orders. We advance at 0600, all companies. Standard formation. Best we can do is move fast, get through the danger area before they can concentrate fire. Speed over caution. Williams nods, understands. Doesn't like it, but understands. That's what good officers do. Execute bad orders professionally, die efficiently. Keep the math working even when the math says you lose. The company commanders leave. Morrison sits alone in his command tank. New Sherman Firefly. Long 17-pounder gun. Best tank America and Britain can field. Still not enough. Never enough. Because tanks don't win wars. Men do. And men die in hedgerows no matter how good their tanks are. He thinks about writing Sarah. Can't. What would he say? Tomorrow I'm leading men into an ambush. High command knows it. I know it. We're doing it anyway. Because that's what soldiers do. That's what the mission requires. That's the price of victory. Hope Thomas grows up proud of his father. Hope he never understands what his father became. Instead, Morrison opens his tactical notebook. Reads his own doctrine notes. Note 3. Massed frontal assault with smoke. Maximize speed and violence of action. Overwhelm defenders before they can react. Good theory. Elegant mathematics. Assumes defenders don't have perfect positions. Don't have Tiger tanks. Don't have doctrine notes captured from previous battles. Don't know exactly what Morrison will do because they've studied his tactics, learned his patterns, prepared counters. Weber's ghost whispers, your doctrine saves hundreds, kills thousands. Mathematics of guilt. Morrison closes the notebook, tries to sleep, can't. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees Tommy Vasquez dying, sees 84 tanks burning on an Italian mountain, sees Weber's face, hears his warning, don't become me. Too late, already there, already weapon, already hollow, already damned. Dawn comes cold and gray. Norman summer morning, mist hanging in the hedgerows. Visibility maybe 200 meters. Bad for attacking, good for defending. Advantage Germans. Surprise, surprise. Morrison's battalion forms up. 37 tanks, single column, no other choice. The lane through the hedgerows only wide enough for one tank. Maybe two if you want to risk getting stuck. So single file, one after another. Target practice for anyone with patience and good positions. Morrison's tank leads. Command from front. Old doctrine. Show your men you won't ask them to go where you won't go. Lead by example. Also ensures if it's an ambush, commander dies first. Takes responsibility. Pays price before his men do. Cold comfort, but comfort nonetheless. All units advance. Maintain interval. Watch for AT guns in the hedgerows. Gunners, traverse left and right. Stay alert. Move fast. We're racing through a kill zone. Speed is survival, understood? 37 acknowledgements. 37 crews. 185 men. Morrison's responsibility. Morrison's burden. Morrison's mathematics. How many will die today? How many will he bring home? What's the exchange rate of American lives for Norman Crossroads? War demanding answers. Morrison having none. The column advances, diesel engines rumbling, tracks clanking, the sound of American armor moving to contact. The sound Morrison's heard 1,000 times, used to make him nervous, then excited, then nothing. Now just triggers memory, all the other times, all the other ambushes, all the other men who died because Morrison led them forward. They make 2 kilometers, no contact. Maybe the Germans aren't here. Maybe intelligence was wrong. Maybe they'll reach the crossroads unopposed. Maybe mathematics will favor them. Maybe. Hope is not a tactic, but it's all Morrison has. 3 kilometers. The lane narrows. Hedgerows close in. 8 feet tall. Ancient earthworks topped with brambles and small trees. Can't see through them. Can't shoot through them. Can't bypass them. Just follow the lane. Trust that nothing's waiting. Hope probability works out. Morrison's instincts scream, this is wrong, this is the kill zone, this is where they hit you. Every tactical sense honed over 3 campaigns says stop, turn around, find another route, live to fight another day. But orders are orders. Mission is mission. So Morrison keeps moving, leading his men deeper into the funnel, into the trap, into the mathematics that say somebody dies today. Probably everybody, but maybe mission accomplished first. Maybe objectives seized before the bill comes due. Maybe the math works out. Maybe. The Tiger's gun speaks first. That distinctive bark, 88 millimeter high velocity, sound you never forget once you've heard it. Sound that means death coming at 820 meters per second. Sound that means somebody just died. The Sherman 3 tank's back explodes. Direct hit. Ammunition detonates. Turret flies. Hull splits. 5 men gone in an instant. No warning. No chance. Just alive then not. That's how it happens. That's always how it happens. Contact right. Tiger in the hedgerow. Range 200 meters. Morrison's brain processes. 200 meters. Too close. Way too close. Tiger waited until column was committed. Waited until no room to maneuver. Waited until perfect. And now killing starts. Methodical. Efficient. Professional execution of trapped force. Second Sherman dies. Then third. The Tiger works through them like targets on a range. No rush. No panic. Just aim fire, aim fire. Each shot a kill. German crew perfect, experienced. Veterans who've done this before, who know American tanks can't hurt them, who know this is just work, just slaughter, just mathematics. Morrison's Firefly pivots, Eddie Chen spinning the tank, trying to get angle on Tiger. But the hedgerows block, can't see, can't shoot what you can't see, and the Tiger's hull down. Position perfect, killing perfect. Everything perfect except Morrison's men dying. Smoke, Morrison orders. All units, smoke, blind them. Useless. He knows it even as he says it. Smoke won't help. Tiger's got prepared positions, knows the range, can shoot blind and still hit. But have to try something. Can't just sit and die. Have to fight. Even when fighting is futile, even when mathematics say impossible. Have to try. More Shermans die. 5th, 6th, 7th. The column stalls. Tanks trying to reverse. No room. Tanks trying to advance. Blocked by burning wrecks. Tanks trying to return fire. Can't see target. Trapped. Flanked. Slaughtered. Morrison sees movement. Left hedgerow. Another Tiger. 2 of them. Perfect crossfire. Column caught between. No escape forward. No escape back. Just die in place. Just watch your battalion burn. Just count the mathematics. 7 tanks gone. 8, 9. His brain runs numbers. 37 tanks at start. 9 dead in 2 minutes. 28 remaining. Exchange rate unsustainable. Mission failure imminent. Men dying for nothing. Nothing. All the doctrine, all the tactics, all the brilliance. Useless against perfect positions and patient killers. All units, abandon tanks. Infantry out. Take cover in the hedgerows. The crews bail out. Climbing through hatches. Jumping off decks. Running for the hedgerows. Some make it, some don't. German machine guns open up. Cutting down running men. 30 caliber and 7.92 millimeter. American and German. Both singing same song. Song of men dying. Song old as war. Song that never ends. Billy Hartman climbs out. Prosthetic leg awkward on the hull. Moving slow. Too slow. Morrison reaches for him, grabs his arm, pulls. Get down, get out, get safe. But Billy's looking at something. Face puzzled, like he doesn't understand what he's seeing. The 88 hits redemption. Morrison's tank. Direct hit through the turret. Shell enters left side. Exits right. Passes through the space where Billy's standing. Passes through Billy. Takes him apart. Molecular disassociation. Body destroyed at supersonic speed. There one moment, gone the next. Not even body left to bury. Just pieces. Just memory. Just ghost. Morrison doesn't process. Can't process. Billy's there, then not there. 19-year-old kid who refused to go home. Who stayed with his crew. Who loved his family more than life. Gone. Erased. Deleted from existence. And Morrison can't even scream because screaming doesn't help. Doesn't change math. Doesn't bring back the dead. He falls off the tank. Lands hard. Shoulder hits first. Something breaks. Clavicle, maybe? Doesn't matter. Pain is just information. Information says move or die. So he moves, crawls, drags himself toward the hedgerow, toward cover, toward survival. Eddie Chen appears, grabs Morrison's good arm, pulls. The California kid's face blank. Shut down, survival mode. Brain protecting itself from trauma. Just act, just move, just survive. Process later. Grieve never. That's the only way through. They reach the hedgerow, collapse into it, panting, bleeding, alive. Behind them, the column burns. 23 Shermans dead or dying. 115 men. Morrison's battalion. Morrison's responsibility. Morrison's failure. He watches through the brambles. Watches the Tigers work. Methodical. Efficient. Perfect. And he understands this is his doctrine. His tactics. Circle of death reversed. Americans trapped in the center. Germans circling, shooting, using Morrison's own brilliance against him. Studying captured papers, learning patterns, preparing counters, and now executing. Perfectly. Weber's warning echoes. Your doctrine saves hundreds, kills thousands. Mathematics of guilt. Morrison's killed his own men. His tactical genius. His brilliant papers. His fucking doctrine. It all came back. Came around. Killed the very men he tried to save. 84 tankers dead in Italy. 115 dead in Normandy. 200 Americans killed by Morrison's own brain. His own words. His own mechanical, analytical, brilliant, deadly doctrine. The Tigers finished their work. 23 tanks burning. Maybe 30 survivors out of 185. 83% casualties. Military term is unit destroyed. Human term is massacre. Morrison's term is my fault. All my fault. Every single one. Pops McKenna crawls through the hedgerow. Old soldier moving quiet. Experienced. Survivor. He reaches Morrison. Sits beside him. Looks at the burning column. At the holocaust of American armor. At the price of orders and doctrine in the mathematics of war. Billy? Pops asks, voice flat. Already knowing, already grieving, already adding another ghost to his collection. Morrison shakes his head. Can't speak. If he speaks, he'll scream. If he screams, he won't stop. So he stays silent. Lets Pops understand without words. Without confirmation. Just silence meaning everything. Meaning Billy's gone. Meaning family's broken. Meaning the covenant failed. Jesus Christ. Pops closes his eyes, old man crying. 44 years old. Survived 2 wars. Lost everyone. Son, grandson, and all the boys he tried to save. And all the penance he tried to pay. All the redemption he tried to earn. Burning on a Norman road because doctrine doesn't save you. Tactics don't protect you. Brilliance doesn't matter when you're outpositioned and outgunned and led into perfect ambush by incompetent high command in your own captured papers. Morrison and his survivors spend 3 days hiding in the hedgerows, evading German patrols, scrounging food, avoiding capture, finally reach American lines, exhausted, broken, traumatized. The remnants of a battalion that died in 20 minutes. The debriefing is brutal. Colonels and majors demanding answers. What happened? Why so many losses? What went wrong? Morrison tells them. Perfect ambush, perfect positions, perfect execution. Germans using Morrison's own doctrine against him. Using captured, tactical notes. Using American brilliance to kill Americans. The officers nod. Take notes. Classify everything. Lesson learned. Don't advance through obvious kill zones. Don't walk into ambushes. Don't write doctrine so brilliant the enemy can use it. File it away. Share it. Let other commanders learn from Morrison's disaster. Let other battalions avoid same fate. Blood knowledge, bought with 115 lives. Morrison writes it up. Doctrine Note 16 when doctrine fails. Or how my own tactics killed my battalion. He writes clinically. Detailed. Anatomizing his own failure. Analyzing perfect German execution. Recommending counters. Teaching other commanders how to avoid his mistakes. How not to be him. How not to let brilliance become liability. How not to kill your own men with your own genius. The paper circulates, becomes required reading. Morrison's most famous doctrine note, The one where the greatest American tank tactician admits his tactics can kill Americans as easily as Germans. The one where the legend admits he's human, fallible, capable of catastrophic failure. But doctrine notes don't bring back the dead, don't restore Billy, don't save the 115 men who died following Morrison into that kill zone. Don't matter at all except to future commanders who might avoid same fate. Morrison sits alone that night, writing another letter. Not to Sarah, to Billy's mother, Mrs. Elizabeth Hartman, Boston, wealthy widow whose son volunteered, whose son refused to go home, whose son died serving a tank commander who failed him. Dear Mrs. Hartman, I am writing to inform you that your son William died in action on June 28th. He died serving with courage and honor. He died among men who loved him as brother. He died quickly and without pain. Lies, all lies. Billy died screaming, died in pieces, died because Morrison led him into ambush, died because doctrine failed, died because war is mathematics and sometimes math says everybody loses. But Morrison writes the lies because that's what you do. You give families comfort, give them closure, give them something other than truth. Because truth is their son died for nothing in a Norman hedgerow, because his commander fucked up and high command gave impossible orders, and war doesn't care about courage or honor or love. Truth doesn't comfort grieving mothers. So Morrison lies and hates himself for it and adds it to the balance sheet. 200 men dead because of his doctrine. Lies told to 200 families. Mathematics of guilt compounding. Pops McKenna dies that night. Heart attack. Stress. Exhaustion. Survivor's guilt finally catching up. Old soldier's body deciding enough. No more. Can't carry more ghosts. Cannot bury more sons. Cannot keep fighting. Just stop. Just end. Just sleep forever and maybe dream of James and Billy and all the others waiting on the other side. Morrison finds him in the morning. Pop's sitting against a wall, eyes closed, peaceful, finally at rest, finally free of burden, finally done with war's demands. 44 years old. 2 wars, 100 battles. Outlived his son and grandson and all the boys he tried to save. Died of accumulated prices. Died of math finally catching up. Died of being human in situation that demands weapons. Morrison doesn't cry. Can't cry. Cried himself empty years ago. Just sits beside Pops. Holds the old man's cold hand. Whispers words nobody hears. I'm sorry, Pops. I'm sorry I couldn't save them. I'm sorry I became what you warned me not to become. I'm sorry the doctrine failed. I'm sorry, sorry, sorry. Sorry doesn't resurrect the dead. Doesn't matter, doesn't change anything, just word, just sound, just emptiness. They bury Pops in a military cemetery. 21 gun salute, flag folded, taps playing, all the ceremony for men who die serving. Morrison receives the flag, meaningless cloth, meaningless ritual. Nothing brings back the man, the father figure, the conscience Morrison ignored, the warning Morrison rejected. Gone now. All gone. Eddie Chen finds Morrison after the funeral. California Kid's face shows something Morrison hasn't seen before. Decision, determination, resolution. Major, I'm requesting transfer, non-combat assignment, maintenance, training, anything. I can't do this anymore. Can't watch everyone die. Can't keep pretending I'm okay. I'm not okay. I'm broken. I'm done. I'm sorry. Morrison understands. Wants to argue. Wants to say we need you. Wants to keep his last connection to the old crew. To Iron Testament and Redemption and all the tanks that carried them through war. But he can't. Won't. Eddie's earned rest. Earned peace. Earned right to stop being weapon. To try being human again. Approved. I'll sign the papers. You've done enough, Eddie. More than enough. Go home. Fix cars. Live. That's an order. Eddie nods. Salutes. Walks away. Last survivor of original crew. Tommy dead. Billy dead. Pop's dead. Just Eddie and Morrison left. And Eddie's leaving. Choosing life over loyalty. Choosing sanity over service. Smart choice. Healthy choice. Choice Morrison can't make because he's the commander. He's the legend. He's Iron Jake who never quits, who never breaks, who keeps fighting until there's nothing left to fight with or for. The hospital. Michael's face wet with tears. Old man crying for grandfather's pain, for understanding finally, for knowing what war costs, what survival costs, what becoming weapon costs. You lost everyone, Michael says, voice thick, choked, understanding written in every word. Everyone, Morrison confirms. Tommy, Billy, Pops. Eddie survived but walked away. Can't blame him. Should have walked away myself, should have quit after Normandy, should have said no more dying, no more doctrine, no more weapon, just stop. Just be done, but I didn't. Couldn't, because the war wasn't over. Because they needed me, because Iron Jake doesn't quit. So I kept going, kept fighting, kept killing, all the way to Germany, all the way to the end. And the Holocaust kept accumulating. 200 dead from my doctrine. Became 250, became 300. Until I couldn't count anymore. Couldn't track the mathematics. Just knew the price was more than anyone should pay. More than I could carry. More than I could survive. But I survived anyway. That's the cruelest joke. The weapon survived. The man died. But the body kept breathing. The Bulge? Michael asks. Germany? The war ended. You came home. Morrison nods. Slow. Tired. Dying. Bulge was December. Desperate German counterattack. Last gasp. I had new battalion by then. New crews, new tanks. Led them through Belgium, through Germany, into the Reich itself. Racked up kills. Morrison the legend. Iron Jake the hero. 118 enemy tanks destroyed. Record that stood for decades. Number they put on my obituary someday. Like it means something. Like killing 118 German crews is accomplishment. Like being best at slaughter is virtue. Did you meet the German commander again? The one from Italy? Weber. Weber was dead. Died in March 44. Pneumonia. POW camp. Never saw his daughters again. Anna and Sophie. They grew up without father. Just like Thomas grew up without me. Different reasons, same result. War takes fathers. One way or another. Takes them and doesn't give them back. Not really. Bodies come home. But the men stay in the war, stay in the hedgerows and the burning tanks and the ghosts that never leave. Morrison's voice fades, but the memories keep coming. Relentless. The story not done. More battles, more deaths, more prices. The Bulge, Morrison continues, forcing words. December 44, Hitler's last gamble, German offensive, caught us by surprise, just like old times, just like Kasserine. Except this time I didn't freeze. This time I was weapon, pure weapon. Nothing else left. The memory surfaces. Bastogne, cold, snow, desperate fighting. Morrison commanded new battalion by then. Fresh crews, green kids, replacements for the dead, always replacements, always fresh faces to feed into the grinder. December 16th, Germans attacked. Panzers and Tigers and everything Germany had left. Desperate push. Final offensive. Break the Americans. Reach Antwerp. Split the Allied armies. Win the war through audacity and violence and sheer bloody-mindedness. It almost worked. Morrison's battalion caught in the initial assault, surrounded at Bastogne, cut off, no resupply, no reinforcements. Just hold or die. High command promised relief, promised air support, promised everything, delivered nothing except orders to hold, always hold, never retreat, never surrender, just die in place if necessary. Morrison held, not because of orders, because nowhere to go, surrounded by German armor, best tanks Germany had, Panthers and Tigers, better than Shermans even with Fireflies, better armor, better guns, better crews. Americans had numbers, had determination, had Iron Jake who didn't freeze anymore, who didn't feel anymore, who just killed with mechanical efficiency until someone killed him. 7 days. That's how long Bastogne lasted. 7 days of constant fighting. German attacks, American counterattacks, artillery, airstrikes when weather cleared, frozen ground and frozen men, and the mathematics of attrition playing out in Belgian snow. Morrison's battalion started with 42 tanks, ended with 19, 23 tanks lost, 115 men, same number as Normandy, same mathematics, same prices, just different country, different season, same blood, same ghosts. But Morrison's kill count grew. 73 enemy tanks by Bastogne, 89 by Christmas, 100 by New Year. By New Year, the numbers climbing, the legend growing. Iron Jake, the ace, the killer. The weapon so efficient he made German aces look amateur. But efficiency has costs. Morrison learned this, learned it in blood, in nightmares, in empty places where humanity used to live. Every kill carved away another piece. Every dead German tank meant another face haunting dreams, another ghost joining the collection, another weight added to balance that never balanced. He killed 100 enemy tanks, killed maybe 400 men, calculated, estimated. Impossible to know exact numbers. Some crews bailed out, some burned, some escaped. But 400 approximate. 400 Germans who died because Morrison was very, very good at his job. Very efficient, very mechanical, very much weapon. And he felt nothing. That was worst part. Looking at burning Panthers and feeling nothing. Watching German crews burn and calculating only next target. Being praised for kills and feeling only empty. Hollow. Like something essential died and left corpse walking. Corpse that killed. Corpse that survived. Corpse that couldn't stop because stopping meant thinking. Thinking meant feeling. Feeling meant breaking. So Morrison didn't stop, didn't think, didn't feel, just killed. Through Belgium, through Germany, into Reich itself, chasing retreating Wehrmacht, killing everything German with engine and gun, racking up kills like score in game. 90, 100, 110, 118. Final kill was May 7th, day before Germany surrendered. Small town in Bavaria. Last desperate Germans making last desperate stand. Panther tank. Good crew. Veterans. They fought well. Died anyway. Because Morrison was better. More experienced. More skilled. More efficient. More weapon. 118 confirmed kills. That's what medals said. What citations said. What history books would say. Most successful American tank ace of World War II. Legend, hero, greatest tank commander America produced. And Jake Morrison felt nothing, just empty, just hollow, just weapon waiting for next war, next mission, next reason to matter. I came home in 45, October. War over, Germany defeated, Japan surrendered, victory, parades, medals, heroes welcome. And I felt nothing, just empty, hollow. The weapon trying to be man again, trying to remember how, failing. Sarah, Thomas? Sarah tried. God, she tried. Patient, loving, understanding. Gave me space, gave me time, gave me everything. And I gave her nothing. Couldn't connect. Couldn't feel. Couldn't be husband or father or anything except weapon and storage. Waiting for next war, next mission, next reason to matter. Morrison remembers those early years. Coming home to Iowa farm. To wife he barely knew. To son he'd never met. Thomas was 18 months old. Walking, talking, calling Sarah mama. Looking at Morrison like stranger. Because that's what Morrison was. Stranger, ghost, weapon in man's clothing. Sarah tried to reach him. Tried everything. Patience. Space. Conversation. Silence. Touch. Distance. Nothing worked. Nothing penetrated the armor Morrison built. The emotional armor thicker than any tiger's plating. Impenetrable. Absolute. Necessary for survival. Fatal for living. Morrison worked the farm. Physical labor. Planting, harvesting, maintaining equipment. Tasks that required body not mind. That let him function without thinking. Without feeling. Without confronting the hollow space where Jake Morrison used to live. Nights were worst. Sleep brought dreams. Dreams brought memories. Burning tanks. Screaming men. Tommy's face. Billy's body. Pop's dying. Weber's warning. 200 ghosts demanding accounting. Demanding explanation. Demanding Morrison answer for surviving when they didn't. He'd wake screaming. Sarah holding him, trying to comfort. Morrison pushing away. Can't accept comfort, can't allow connection. Because connection means vulnerability. Vulnerability means pain. Pain means breaking. Can't break. Must stay weapon. Weapons don't break, They just rust, slowly, over decades, until nothing remains but memory of what they were. Years passed. Thomas grew. 5 years old, 6, 7, smart kid, curious, wanting father's attention, wanting connection, wanting what Morrison couldn't give. Morrison tried. God, he tried. Played catch, read stories, attended school functions, going through motions, playing role, but never present, never really there. Always half in Iowa and half in Normandy, half alive and half ghost. Thomas felt it. Kids always do. Felt his father's absence even when Morrison was physically present. Felt the emotional distance, the hollow space, the weapon pretending to be man. And Thomas grew resentful, angry, hurt. Why won't father connect? Why won't father love? Why won't father be present? Morrison had no answers. How do you explain to 7-year-old that his father died in France? That weapon came home instead? That the man who loved him died before they met? That survival and living are different? That weapon can't love because love requires humanity, and humanity died in burning Sherman. You don't explain, you just fail. Quietly, consistently, for decades, until your son stops trying, stops reaching, stops hoping, until he grows up with ghost for father and emptiness for inheritance. Thomas grew up with a ghost for father. I was there but not there, present but absent, breathing but not living. He tried to reach me, tried to understand, eventually gave up, joined Marines in '68, Vietnam, wanted to see what made his father this way, what war did to people. Same thing Pops' son did. Same cycle, same stupidity, same desperate need to understand. Thomas went to Vietnam. Morrison couldn't stop him. Couldn't explain, couldn't say don't go, couldn't warn him, because warning means admitting. Admitting means explaining. Explaining means confronting. Confronting means feeling. And Morrison couldn't feel, wouldn't feel. Spent 23 years not feeling, couldn't start now. Thomas deployed. Infantry, Mekong Delta. Different war, same transformation. Different enemy, same prices. Morrison watched his son become weapon. Watched Thomas lose pieces of himself. Watched the humanity drain away. Watched his son walk the path Morrison walked. And couldn't warn him. Couldn't save him. Couldn't do anything except watch and remember and add more guilt to balance sheet. Thomas came home in '70. Different. Harder. Colder. Hollow. Just like Morrison. 2 weapons, 2 generations. 2 men who died in war and came home as ghosts. They tried to connect, tried to bridge gap. 2 hollow men reaching across emptiness, finding only more emptiness, more absence, more proof that war takes everything and returns nothing except breathing corpses. Thomas came home different, broken like me. We tried to connect. 2 broken weapons trying to be family. Failed, always failed. He died in '92. Heart attack, 48 years old. Stress in Agent Orange and accumulated damage. My son, gone. And I couldn't even cry properly, couldn't grieve properly, just added him to the list. The balance sheet, the mathematics of everyone I failed to save. Morrison pauses, breath rattling. Sarah died in '95, 3 years after Thomas. Cancer. She tried her whole life to reach me, to bring back the man she married, the farm boy from Iowa. Failed. I failed her. Spent 50 years living with a ghost. She deserved better. Deserved a husband who came home, not a weapon in storage. Michael's crying now, full tears, understanding his grandfather's pain, understanding his own pain, understanding that war breaks men and breaks families and breaks everything it touches. That becoming weapon costs everything. That survival is just slow motion death. That coming home is harder than fighting. How did you survive, Michael asks. 60 more years. How did you keep living? Morrison's smile is sad, knowing, broken. I didn't live. I survived. Big difference. Surviving is just breathing, just occupying space, just waiting for death. Living is connecting and feeling and being human. I stopped living in '43, at Kasserine, when I decided never to freeze again, when I chose weapon over man. Everything after that was just surviving, just going through motions, just waiting for this moment, this hospital bed, this ending. But you're here, you're telling me, you're trying to save me from the same fate. That's living, that's being human, that's being grandfather. Too little, too late, story of my life. But yes, I'm trying to warn you, trying to say don't be me, don't become weapon, don't trade humanity for efficiency, don't pay prices I paid. Even if war demands it, even if survival requires it, even if being weapon is easier than being broken man. Stay human, stay connected, stay able to feel, because once you lose that, you never get it back. Never. I've tried for 60 years. Still trying, still failing, still hollow. Morrison closes his eyes, the morphine finally working. Dulling pain, bringing relief, bringing end. His breathing slows, shallow, irregular. Old man dying. Finally, after 8 decades, after 60 years of surviving, after lifetime of being weapon, finally allowed to stop, to rest, to sleep without dreams of burning tanks and screaming men and the mathematics of guilt. Michael holds his hand. I love you, Grandpa. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for warning me. Thank you for trying to save me even when you couldn't save yourself. Morrison's last words come quiet, barely audible. Last transmission from dying weapon. Last message from man who became legend and lost himself. Don't become me. Don't become weapon. Stay human. That's the only doctrine that matters. The only tactics worth knowing. Stay human. Promise me. I promise. Morrison smiles, maybe believes it, maybe doesn't, but takes comfort anyway. Last comfort. Final peace. Permission to stop. To end. To finally rest. He dies at sunset, October 15th, 2005. 80 years old, 60 years after the war. Major Jacob Morrison, Iron Jake. The legend, the weapon, the greatest American tank commander. 118 confirmed kills, Medal of Honor, Silver Star, Purple Heart, all the decorations for all the killing. The obituary will say died peacefully, surrounded by family, beloved grandfather, devoted patriot, American hero, all the comfortable lies we tell about warriors, all the sanitized versions of brutal truths, making weapons into heroes, making killers into legends, making trauma into triumph. But Michael knows the truth, knows what the war cost his grandfather, knows what becoming weapon means, knows the prices paid in the math that never balances, knows that Iron Jake was weapon. Jake Morrison was man, and the man died in Normandy. Only weapon survived. The funeral is military, full honors, 21 guns, taps, flag folded, presented to Michael. The ritual, the ceremony, the meaningless gestures that don't resurrect the dead or heal the broken or bring back lost humanity. Michael stands at the grave, holds the flag, thinks about promises, about warnings, about grandfather's desperate plea, stay human, don't become weapon. Even if war demands it, even if survival requires it, stay human. And Michael wants to promise, wants to believe, wants to think he can be different, can fight without becoming weapon, can survive without losing himself, can come home intact when grandfather couldn't. But Michael's seen Fallujah, seen the things that turn men into weapons, seen the choices that erase humanity, seen the mathematics that say weapon survives and man dies. And he fears he's already halfway there, already becoming what grandfather warned against, already paying prices he can't afford. He places the flag on the casket, whispers words only ghosts hear. I'll try, Grandpa. I'll try to stay human. I'll try to be more than weapon. I'll try to honor your warning, but I don't know if I can. Don't know if anyone can. Don't know if war lets us choose, but I'll try to be. For you, for Thomas, for all of us who came home broken. I'll try. The casket lowers, the earth covers. The marker reads, Major Jacob Morrison, 1925 to 2005. Medal of Honor. Beloved father and grandfather, American hero. Nothing about the cross, nothing about the hollowness, nothing about 60 years of surviving without living. Nothing about the weapon that won the war and lost the man. Nothing about the truth. Just comfortable lies. Just sanitized history. Just a legend, not the man. But Michael knows, carries the truth, carries the warning, carries the hope that maybe somehow he can be different, can survive and stay human, can be weapon when needed and man when war's done, can balance the mathematics that destroyed his grandfather, can honor the promise, can stay human, can prove that becoming weapon isn't inevitable, that men can fight and survive and come home and live, really live, not just survive. That's the hope, the desperate, fragile hope. The only thing Michael has to carry forward, the only inheritance that matters. Not medals, not flags, not legend, just warning, just plea, just grandfather's dying words. Stay human. That's the covenant, the real covenant, not iron, not about bringing each other home at any cost, but about bringing yourself home. The real you, the human you, the part that loves and feels and connects, the part war wants to kill. Keep that alive. Michael walks away from the grave, from the ceremony, from the funeral, from the legend, walking towards something else, something harder, something grandfather never managed, walking toward staying human, toward keeping the promise, toward being more than weapon. He doesn't know if he can do it, doesn't know if it's possible, doesn't know if war will let him, but he'll try, for grandfather, for father, for all the weapons who survived and never lived. That's the ending. That's the resolution. Not triumph, not victory, just hope. Fragile, desperate, uncertain, but hope nonetheless. The Iron Covenant ends not with glory but with warning, not with celebration but with plea, not with answer but with question. Can men fight and stay human? Can warriors survive with souls intact? Can weapons remember their men? Morrison couldn't, became weapon and stayed weapon, survived 60 years but never lived, carried 118 kills and 200 ghosts in the mathematics of guilt until death brought mercy. But maybe Michael can. Maybe next generation learns. Maybe the warning takes. Maybe the sacrifice means something. Maybe that's all Morrison left. That's the testament. That's the covenant. Not iron. Human. Stay human. Even in hell. Even in war. Even in hedgerows where doctrine fails and men burn and mathematics say everybody dies. Stay human. That's worth more than 118 kills. More than Medal of Honor. More than legend. That's everything. That's the end. Major Jacob Morrison. Iron Jake. The weapon. The legend. The warning. Died October 15th, 2005. Lived somewhere between 1925 and 1943. Before that, just boy. After that, just weapon. The man lasted 18 years. The weapon lasted 62. The warning lasts forever. Stay human. That's the last doctrine. The final tactical note. The ultimate lesson from greatest American tank commander. Not how to kill. How to survive killing. How to come home. How to live after. How to be more than war makes you. Stay human. Rest in peace, Jake Morrison. You earned it. Finally. The end.